Stories number 1. Aita for not adopting my wife's child. I, 27M, used to have a wonderful relationship with the woman I love, 26F. However, 5 years ago, she got drunk, had a one-night stand, and got pregnant from it. Can't be mine. I can't have kids due to a horseback riding injury when I was a teen. Didn't get the guy's name, no way to find him, so he's out of the picture. My wife decided to keep it, and we almost went through a divorce, but couples therapy made us decide to try again. We're still in therapy now, since I still have a hard time trusting her. So, she had her son. We talked a lot about it, and I made it clear that I'm okay taking on a step-parent role, but I wasn't willing to fully be his dad. I wouldn't adopt him, but I would help raise him and get him off to college. My wife agreed to this, became a stay-at-home mom so she could take care of him with help from her parents, and I've pretty much been the fun uncle-like guy. I play with him, buy him games, try my best to not resent him, and I am in therapy for this, and mostly just stay out of the way of my wife's parenting. He even calls me uncle, instead of dad. He knows I'm not his father, and is just happy to play video games with me and chill. Well, recently, my wife has started talking about me adopting him, something I'm not willing to do. I made it clear that if anything happened, he would go live with her parents, and I'd send child support. If they couldn't take him, I wouldn't put him in foster care or anything, but I also wasn't willing to take on the responsibility of being his father when I'm not. I'm happy being an uncle to another man's kid, since that's what life threw at me. This has greatly upset her, and she's trying to find a way to force me into adopting him. She's even been manipulating the poor kid, saying he should start calling me dad instead of uncle like he has his entire life, which is upsetting and confusing the poor boy. This situation has worked for the last 5 years, and I don't know why she's trying to change something that isn't broken, or force me into a role I told her years ago I wasn't willing to accept, which she was fine with until just recently. Comments. Commenter 1. Esh. Everything about this is pretty terrible. Her cheating. You purposefully distancing yourself from the child, who is not yours through no fault of his own, not to mention you being the only father figure he's ever known. Dads don't need to be blood. You all sound like assholes. Except the little one obviously, who I just feel so sorry for. Sort your shit out for his sake. Commenter 2. Exactly. If OP couldn't grow past his resentment of the kid not being his, then he never should have agreed to stay in the relationship. It's not fair to the child. Either he needs to be all in, or out. Commenter 3. It's not that easy to just not resent. He's doing something better than being all out. He's still contributing to his life. It is sad he hasn't come along more, but he's not a total asshole. Edit. I have changed my view. I think the thought that kid is better without him completely is true. The fact that he can't step into the role because he must have so much resentment, being called dad, is too much. Still applies. Mother is also doing herself and kid a disservice. Commenter 4. You may want to check with an attorney. Regardless of whether or not he is your biological child, you have been raising and supporting him. Even if you don't adopt him, he's likely yours in the eyes of the court. That said, NTA. You had an agreement, you supported her decision to keep the baby, you worked through her infidelity. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. Reply, I have checked with 2 lawyers, one actually my brother-in-law and one an outside party. I was not put on the birth certificate, and was actually told by both that the fact that he wasn't mine was grounds for a quick divorce, no matter how long it's been. If we divorced tomorrow, I would basically be walking away free. My brother-in-law was disgusted with his sister when he found out, and was even the one to suggest I get the divorce. My other lawyer is much more neutral about it all, so I trust what he says. Commenter 5. NTA. Once she cheated on you, she lost the right to ask anything of you. You set boundaries that she agreed to, and now, she pulled the child into this to try to get her way. You worked through divorce once, but something like confusing the kid by making him call you dad when you've been uncle all his life, would be a deal breaker for me. You're gonna have to sit her down and let her know that if she's going back on her word, she's making your previous decision to divorce come back to light. NTA. Otherwise. Commenter 6. This is a mess. You should not adopt a child you don't want. He should have a parent or parents who are enthusiastic. But you also are putting them in a bad position by planning to be present while demonstrating what I can only call a wedge between you and your wife where the child witnesses it. But this is her fault as well. She entered an agreement that she might have assumed would be temporary. But she shouldn't have. And no child should be foisted upon someone reluctant to commit to parenting them. Update. After reading everything, I told my wife I was leaving and pursuing that divorce. I think I've been ready to do so for a while, but just needed the push. This has led to a complete meltdown, but I stayed firm, packed everything up, and moved in with my brother across town. I have already contacted the landlord to tell him I would pay for 2 more months' rent. After that, everything needs to be switched to her. Talking to my lawyer, it was verified that, due to the process I went through after the birth to establish I wasn't the father, I would not have to pay child support or alimony, which is something very rare and uncommon anyway where I live. He's already working on the paperwork. No idea when it'll all happen, but once it does I'll cut full contact. My wife has tried to call and text multiple times, but I've refused to talk. I'll post another update when I know more. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA, I am very disappointed in some of the responses you have received. Your wife and that child of hers are lucky that you have taken on the role that you did. I am sure both of their lives are better off with you being there and supporting them. She got selfish and pushed too hard for something that you had already settled with her before the child's birth. Would she have preferred that you just left her cold, no contact, at the time of the cheating? Bottom line, you have to live with yourself, so it is you that have to be happy with your decisions. Personally, I agree with you. Actually, I doubt I would have stayed with the cheater at all. I wish you the best going forward and remember, it is your decision and yours alone. Commenter 2. Let me just say this real quick, you are not the asshole. You dealt amazingly with what life threw at you, tried your hardest to make things work, was nice to the kid because you knew it wasn't his fault that this happened. You shouldn't be expected to adopt a kid that your wife had with another man whilst you were married. It depends on your relationship with the kid and how you view him. If you kinda like him you could stay in touch with him via email, secret or SMTH, but it's completely up to you. You are in the right. Stories number 2. Aita, for telling my brother-in-law I will never forgive his daughter and I have no intention of ever having her near my family. Me, 30F, my husband, 35M, my older sister, 35F, my sister's son Kevin, 14M, her husband Joe, 40M, Joe's daughter Kelly, 15F. My sister had a blended family with her bio son, her husband and her stepdaughter. I would say it was still a work in progress for them, but we all accepted and included Joe and Kelly into our lives. A few weeks ago, my husband and I organized a little get-together at our place to celebrate my birthday and for people in our family to spend time with our 6-month-old son. The people present were my sister and her family plus our parents, so very intimate and chill. Everything went well and nothing out of the ordinary happened. But some days after the gathering my nephew Kevin came to our house and asked to speak to me about something concerning. For info, Kevin and Kelly attend the same school and have some mutual friends. My nephew told me that Kelly has been telling her friends that during the gathering she has seen her step-uncle's, my husband's, organ. She claimed she was in the bathroom, my husband entered without knocking and he had his organ outside his pants and this is how she ended up seeing it. This is absurd because my husband does not do this even when we are alone in our home, and honestly who does that when they know they have guests over? So I asked everybody who were present that day to meet at my parents' house and confronted Kelly. She started crying and confesses she lied to her friends. According to her, all of her girlfriends have already had some sort of intimacy and experiences and she had none by this point. So she invented this story to look cool in front of her friends. I lost it. I called her a disgusting POS, a psychopath, and told her she risked my son's father's life just to boost her stupid social life among her friends. I told the rest of my family that going forward I will never bring my family near Kelly again. The consequences for this girl came fast. My nephew told everybody at school the truth. My sister and Joe went to school and informed the principal about what happened, so in case any teacher hears that BS they know it's made up so they don't take action. My parents cut contact with her and will not host her in their house anymore, and my sister refuses to have Kelly live with them, so she was permanently moved to her mother's place. Before you start judging my sister for this, please keep in mind that she has a bio son who needs to be protected. If Kelly could so easily invent and tell those things about my husband, who can guarantee she will not lie about her stepbrother too? Now Joe is obviously hurt and torn about everything that happened. He keeps telling me that Kelly is depressed and wants to apologize to my family, but I keep refusing. I explained to him that I don't need her apology and she shouldn't waste her time with this because I will never forget what happened or move past it. Joe keeps begging me to forgive her because she is just a stupid teenager, and maybe if my sister sees me forgiving her she will be willing to eventually accept Kelly back. I told Joe that a stupid teenager can have the power to ruin a man's life and reputation, so I am not risking it. Also, I fully support my sister and I want to protect my nephew too. Before Kelly was moved to her mother's, Kevin stayed with me and my husband for some days, so I don't regret my decision at all. I stand by everything that I said, but I feel bad for my BL. Regardless of how messed up his daughter is, he is a great guy, respectful, and he really values the concept of family and honesty. So I guess I want to ask if I was the AH towards him. Relevant comments. Downvoted commenter, this is a tough one, but I think I'm at YTA. I think you can, and should, receive and accept the apology, but that by no means requires you to give up your boundaries. Action, even ones that come with a subsequent apology, have consequences. You can forgive but not forget. You can choose not to have her in your life. That said, Kelly is a child, her frontal cortex isn't fully developed. She made an enormous mistake, and she will have to live with that. You didn't truly suffer any negative consequences and all damage has been avoided. Your response kind of feels like you're kicking her while she's down. Reply, I don't agree with this concept. No one should be forced to accept any apology, especially when they don't feel like it. I don't need her apology because it will not change anything for me, so why waste my time? It's not my responsibility to make her feel better about what she did. Kelly might be a child, but her lies are not childlike. I don't know any child who lies about her uncle's big D **K and makes it look like he flashed her. So this magnitude of lies does not really reflect a front cortex not enough developed. If you have the capacity to invent a story that could easily be an opening for a porn movie, you most likely have the capacity to understand it's wrong. Commenter 1. The thing that everyone keeps forgetting is even though it sounds like an accident the way she told it, it could still end up with him being arrested and charged with indecent exposure to a minor. Even if found innocent, he would always have that stigma attached to him. People around here don't mess around when it comes to things like this. Reply, exactly. Thank you for this. I left a lot out of the post because I am not sure what it's allowed here or not, but let's say that no sane adult who heard her story would ever think it was an accident. She provided some details and made some remarks that made it look like he flashed her. Commenter 2, Kevin showed his maturity here. He realized how devastating this lie could be for your husband. Reply, he is an amazing kid indeed. And he is very close to my husband and me and knew from the start everything was a lie. Commenter 3, NTA, Kelly is not your responsibility. Joe should have taught her basic ethical values and actions have consequences idea. He didn't. What if she accused him of walking with his dick out around her? Would he be so understanding and forgiving then? What would happen with his life, freedom, and career if the authorities get involved? Your responsibility is to protect your family, and you are doing it. He is way out of line by telling you how to react in this case. Maybe he is a good guy, but your family's safety and peace of mind have much higher priority over his wants. He has a choice even now. He can spend time with his daughter outside of their home, and he still can go to her school events, sport games, maintain the close parental bond with her, etc. Or he can move out and try guest marriage with your sister when partners don't live together. I saw successful marriages like this. It is possible. His daughter could live with him. Reply, exactly, and there's another thing. If she was able to fabricate this entire story of something that never happened, what if something does indeed happen at some point by accident? What will she invent then? My nephew is a teenager who is supposed to share the house with her. What if at any point he gets out of the shower in only a towel thinking he is home alone and she sees him? What if at any point my nephew enters a room when she is changing without knowing she is there? Commenter 4, I hope you told your nephew that he did a very difficult and noble thing by letting you know what his stepsister was saying. I imagine that him telling you about this has caused a lot of strife in his home, but he's not responsible for the actions of his stepsister. She made her bed. Please let him know that he's a hero for doing the right thing. Reply, yes, we thanked him over and over again. And no, there was no negative feedback for him in his home. My sister would never allow it because she knows he is very close to my husband and to me. In truth, my husband and my father have been my nephew's male role models since he was very young. My husband's house is his second home, he is family, and it was acknowledged by everyone that what he did was to protect his family member that he loves. Downvoted commenter 2, even though I understand your point, you did freak out on a 15-year-old girl. Did you try talking to her alone first? Or did you go full nuclear on her? Damn, you and your family have ruined her. Not only for now, but for like at least the next 10 years. I wonder if one adult actually tried to talk to her or explained why such accusations are dangerous. Reply, I have nothing to talk to her alone, and seeing how she can invent stories that never happened, I would have never had any kind of discussion or meeting with her alone. Why would I risk being accused of who knows what without anyone being present as a witness? We ruined her. How about how she ruined us? Do you think we will ever be able to host our children friends over our place after this shit? What about my nephew who is in therapy because of her? My husband has been his male role model ever since he was young. My nephew has nightmares that my husband is being taken by the police, and it is a high probability he will need some meds to be able to sleep. Also, my nephew who has never been violent in his life has now violent reactions whenever this girl is mentioned. So yeah, I went nuclear on her and I stand by everything that I did. Additional information from OOP after reading comments and messages. Reply. After receiving some messages here and things being explained to me from a different perspective, I am seriously thinking about it as an additional protection measure. Update. Hi all. Thank you very much for your replies to my previous post. I really appreciate you taking time in helping me with your words, your experiences, and your feedback. Talking to you here has been really therapeutic to me but also really sad to hear about some of your experiences. I have received many messages from you asking me to update. There is nothing really much to say, nothing big happened, but I have talked to my sister and she gave me some updates. But before getting to that, I want to clarify three main aspects that keep coming around. We are all sure that Kelly lied, there is no debate there, no what if, no one has any doubts. Some of you really have a sick mind just like Kelly, so I can understand why you are taking her side. But please try to stop being so gross even for a little bit. I get that some of you speak from personal experiences, but for the love of God, not all deranged teenagers were victims of SA, and most certainly my husband did not SA her. For the ones who need things to be spelled out to them because they don't understand otherwise, stop sending me DMs claiming my husband is a predator, telling me I will regret when the truth comes out, calling me names for defending my husband, saying that I am protecting predators. I will keep on ignoring your messages, I will not lower myself at your level, and I will not entertain your delusions. Right now to me it seems the only predators is you, because otherwise you would not be such sick individuals wishing bad things to happen to people who you don't even know. You do not offend me claiming this is fake. If you truly believe the story is fake and I made it up, why would you waste time to comment? You are free to move on and just ignore me. I am not willing to forgive Kelly, I am not willing to allow her to apologize, I am not willing to ever have her near my family, meaning my husband and my son. My husband is not willing to do any of these things either. This is a shared decision and we will never have anything to do with this girl. Stop blaming me for what the rest of my family is doing. I do not command my parents, my sister, Kelly's father, or my nephew. If they cut contact with her, it was their own decision, we just told them our boundaries, but they can do what they want. Now into the update. As I said, I talked to my sister and some things are going to happen this week. First of all, Kevin is coming to our place tomorrow and will spend the entire week with us so that my sister and her husband can have time to sort things out. They plan to go visit Kelly at her mother's place, sit her down and tell her what is going to happen. My sister asked Kevin if he wants her to divorce or if he feels unsafe living with her husband. My nephew told her he does not want to ruin her marriage, he does not hate Joe even if he said it a couple of times, he does not feel unsafe with him, but he does not want to ever have to be near Kelly. My sister and Joe started working with a therapist to see if they can salvage their marriage, and it really helped them. So for the ones wishing them to divorce, they will not. The therapist explained to Joe that he can still have a relationship with his daughter while keeping his other family too, the only thing needed is for him to be willing to work for it. She also said that divorcing and giving up his own life and happiness is not a solution, because where does it end? He divorces my sister, in a few years gets a new wife, and if Kelly does something again to that new family, is he going to once again give up everything he has and start over? He needs to see himself and Kelly as two different individuals with their own path in life. They don't need to be tied together to have a parent-child relationship, and he also needs to show to his kids that marriages are not jokes, you don't give up the first time something shitty happens. So they decided to work together for their marriage. They will let Kelly know how things will be from now on, meaning Joe will continue seeing and supporting her, but she will live full-time with her mother. Her mother is on board with this, she was part of these discussions. Some Redditor suggested in the future Kevin can stay at my place if they want to have Kelly over, and I suggested this to my sister. I told her that our house will always be open for Kevin, so we can do that if Kevin also wants it. I don't think he will refuse since he enjoys spending time with us and his baby cousin, but we need to see how he'll feel for the girl to be in his house. Right now Kevin is also in therapy because he has been having nightmares and violent outbursts when he hears about Kelly, so this will not be suggested to him anytime soon. The last time he heard about her he had a panic attack, started crying and shouting that he hates her and wishes we never met her. I am confident that with therapy he will go back to his happy self, but baby steps, he does not need to be rushed right now. We are all focused on his well-being and mental health right now, and the summer break will be perfect for him. The girl will also be moved to a different school during this summer. This is for both her and Kevin because they will not need to see each other in school and she will avoid getting bullied. Her friends who she told the stories to went home and told the drama to their parents, so now Kelly is forbidden to ever go to these kids' houses since their parents don't want to risk it. I would want to say that I am surprised, but honestly I am not. No sane adults will have someone like her in their home and risk being accused of things. I am also somehow happy the adults who were close to her in one way or another are aware of what is happening, so they are able to protect themselves and not have to face what we did. So that's pretty much it for now. I think I will keep updating if anything interesting happens. I am excited to have my nephew here for the week. I will finally have my partner to game with since my boomer of a husband is not that much into games, so obviously not fun like Kevin. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I think this is the first time I see a normal, adult reaction on how to address a marital issue, and this is very rare on Reddit. Most of the incels around here scream, divorce, right from the start. I also like the therapist ideas, and they are right. You can't mess up your life and your partner's each time your child has issues. You can't give your child the power to ruin your life and the knowledge that you will leave everything you have every time they make something stupid. What I don't understand is why would you have to have your nephew into your home so that the girl can visit? I understand you don't mind it, but why should she go to Kevin's house and make him leave? Can't her father see her somewhere else? Reply, in the foreseeable future Joe will see his daughter somewhere else and she will not be allowed at their house. Honestly, I suggested that option just thinking about Kevin's safety and comfort. Husband and I don't mind having him with us and I want him to be safe. As I said, this is not something that will happen anytime soon or be suggested to my nephew anytime soon, but if it ever becomes an option, I just wanted us to have this solution available. Is OOP's sister okay with having Joe maintaining his relationship with Kelly? Reply, my sister is okay for Joe to have a relationship with his daughter, but that relationship has to happen away from our family. For example, she has no problem with Joe seeing her, talking to her on the phone, attending her events etc., but her conditions are, she does not come to her house, she is not to come near Kevin, she will not attend our family events. So as long as we are all kept away, I don't see why Joe would have to go and see with her. OOP on her nephew, Kevin's background, and if Kelly has tried to harm him in any way. And if Kevin is receiving therapy. Reply, thank you. No, fortunately nothing else happened to him with Kelly, but this situation shocked him. His bio father and paternal grandparents were never in his life, so he was always the shared baby in our family, at first between my sister, my parents and me. Later on, I met my husband when he was really young, so he grew up with my husband. Husband and my father are the only male role models he ever had before meeting Joe. When this situation happened, his first reaction was something is not right, but later on it ended up hitting him because he realized what could have happened. So now his nightmares are mostly about my husband being taken away by the police, his mom or I being taken away by the police, him being taken away from his family, his baby cousin being taken away from us. He was scared to show affection to us like hug my husband or me because he was unsure if this can cause harm. We are working with him, we tried to keep as much as possible away from him, but he is not stupid and he just got very scared. With therapy and time for him to see that we are all fine, I am sure we'll go back to normal eventually. My husband and my father were Kevin's male role models all his life, bio dad was never involved, and we all helped raise him with my sister. So yeah, he had a shock when it hit him what could have happened to his uncle, his mom, and Joe explained to him they need to go to school to talk to the principal in order for the teachers to be aware she lied and they don't call the police CPS if they hear anything. Kevin had to testify in front of the principal. So it was a lot for him and it exploded. His nightmares now are mostly my husband, his mom and I being arrested by the police or him and my baby being taken away from the family by CPS. His therapist is great and we talked to him. Kelly did not do anything to him personally, but he is seeing her as the person who could have caused him to lose his family or him being taken away. OOP responds to a downvoted commenter regarding the peer pressure taking place from Kelly. Reply, logically speaking I fully understand your point of view. And I don't say it's wrong, but I am left with these. I get peer pressure, I get wanting to brag to her friends, I get your point with wanting to be the object of someone's sexual affection. But she could have invented an imaginary person. She could have mentioned an imaginary family friend, an imaginary cousin, anyone. It's not like her friends even know my husband, he is not some eye candy for hormonal teens. So the concerning aspect is she could have literally invented anyone for her imaginary story, still she went for a very real adult who happens to be double her age. Now she did it once. Who can guarantee it will not happen again? She invented a story about my husband with events that never happened. What if something actually happens by accident? What if, for example, my nephew enters a room while she is changing without knowing she is there? What if in her next group of friends she will once again feel left out for not being able to go relate to those friends' experiences? What if she next invents stories about someone else in the family? Personally, if you were my husband, would you ever feel safe to be in her presence? I don't see any healthy way for us to ever be in the same space again. Let's leave out the fact that we don't want to and focus on practical details. We don't trust her. Having her near us again would mean for us to always have to move in pairs so that there is always a witness present just in case, or constantly record everything. Having her in the same space with us would mean her father having to be with her non-stop. She wants to use the toilet. Good, tail her hand, escort her there, wait for her and then escort her back please. This is uncomfortable, unnatural, forced. I am sorry, but there are things you can never come back from, and this is one of them in my books. The risks are too high and it's not worth it. What does Kelly's mother say about this incident? Reply: from what I know from my sister, Kelly's mom sent her apologies to us for everything that happened and is shocked as well. I assume it's not easy for any parent to find out about such lies told by their own kid. She is working with Joe on this and agreed to keep Kelly full-time with her and far away from us. Joe stopped trying to insist on us forgiving her, and no, she did not try to reach out. Is Kelly receiving therapy? Reply: I think she was put in therapy by her parents. I can't think of her father starting therapy with my sister but not putting her into it. Stories number 3. My girlfriend expects me to help her pay off her debts and purchase a larger home after we get married and before we have kids. Is this a reasonable request? I'm a 33-year-old guy in a LTR of about 2 years with my 35-year-old girlfriend in America. We're at the stage now where I'm strongly considering proposal soon, so we're talking about the more serious matters such as finances and children. I know she's more keen on being a wife than she is being a mother, but she has confirmed she wants to have children eventually. Given her age, and also no guarantee my swimmers actually work, I'd like to try having kids ASAP. Neither of us have ever been married or have kids. Meanwhile, she says before trying for kids she wants to pay off all of her debts, almost $50,000 worth, travel to Europe, and buy a bigger home together. I own a townhouse and she rents an apartment currently. I understand these would all be nice to have in an ideal world, but could take years to accomplish all of these. The Europe vacation can be done in a honeymoon or on the proposal itself if I plan it out, so that's NBD really. But selling a home, not super tied to it since I have a high interest rate of 7%, but I did put 20% down, so have a little equity built up over 2 years. Buying a larger home would be $300K more than my current one for the size, location, quality she wants. And paying off all her debt seems like quite a daunting financial task for someone who's lived his whole adult life only having to worry about supporting myself. I have no debts other than the mortgage, paid off car, no student or credit card loans, etc. So my questions are: is this a reasonable request goal? How do I convince her to prioritize having a kid first before knocking out every one of these items? My rationale is I don't want to miss our fertility window, if it's open at all, and wait until she's in her early 40s when by that point it's probably too late. I understand kids are quite an expense and time commitment as well obviously, but there's also never really a perfect time to have a first child. Edit: first off, I truly appreciate all the thoughtful replies. I think it may help to provide some further context and details on the situation. Many seem to be asking about the debts and if she's paying them off. Most of them, $30K, are on credit cards and personal loans, 15% interest, for medical debts related to a bad car accident she had and the surgery needed afterwards. About $10,000 is for student loans and another $10,000 is for her FAR loan, both at around 3 to 5% interest rate. She has a budget and I regularly help her with financial planning, like picking ETFs for her 401k for her since she doesn't really know anything about investing. She does pay all her bills on time and has never actually asked me for money. She pays about $1,200 a month to her debts. Has regular payments to each of her various lenders set up. As for the overall financial situation, like I said, I have no debts other than the mortgage on my townhome. We both make about $125,000 to $150,000 salary annually in a Tier 2 city, so not crazy high cost of living like SF, LA, Seattle, NYC. The other potential red flag, which I've told her is potentially concerning to me, is that she has a history of dating very wealthy pro athletes. She's insisted many times she loves me just for me and is not settling for the safe husband material option because she wasn't picked and is past her prime. This is my gut theory. Claims that she was the one who broke up with all of them because they cheated on her. Also claims that she never dated them for their money and asked them for anything. I'm also far from perfect. I was quite a serial dater for much of my adult life and have a high double-digit body count. So in addition to her traumatic past of being cheated on, she's worried that I will get bored and move on since I've had a lot of casual sex and flings in the past. Hope this helps clarify the situation a bit and paint a clearer picture. Happy to answer any clarifying questions. Will do my best to go through and reply to people's comments. Using a throwaway account FYI for this, as I prefer not to put personal relationship posts on my main account. Stories number 4. AIO for leaving my own birthday dinner after my sister announced her engagement. My 28th birthday was last weekend, and to celebrate, I planned a nice, low-key dinner with just my parents, my partner, 29M, and my older sister Anna, 30F. For context, I love my sister, but she has a history of making big moments about her. It's been a running joke in our family, but it's always bothered me. The dinner was going great until it was time for cake. Just as the waiter was walking toward our table with the cake, Anna stood up, clinked her glass for a toast, and launched into a speech. It ended with her flashing a brand new engagement ring and announcing that her boyfriend had proposed that morning. Everyone was stunned but immediately started screaming and congratulating her. The waiter awkwardly put my cake down, and it was completely forgotten. The rest of the dinner was entirely consumed by talk of her engagement, wedding plans, and how she'd kept it a secret all day. I tried to be happy for her, but I was crushed. It felt like my birthday was completely erased. After about 20 minutes of this, I couldn't take it anymore. I quietly told my partner I wasn't feeling well, paid my share of the bill, and left. Now, my phone is blowing up. My sister is furious and says I ruined her special moment with my pouting. My mom called me selfish and said I should have been happy for my sister and that I made Anna feel guilty and embarrassed. My partner understands why I was upset but thinks leaving was an overreaction that made things worse. I feel like she could have picked any other day to announce her big news. Am I overreacting for walking out of my own birthday dinner? Stories number 5. I 35M may have overreacted after walking in on my wife 36F, married 8 years, naked in our Airbnb sauna with my brother-in-law 33M almost naked. TLDR, I walked in on my wife and brother-in-law while they were naked after being in the sauna we had rented together at an Airbnb. My wife justified it by stating, it's normal in her family to see each other naked. I had a pretty visceral reaction and want to know if I went too far. This was a couple days ago now, but I'm feeling as though I pushed too far. The situation went like this. My 35M wife 36F and I have rented an Airbnb for a vacation abroad with her family, her brother 33M and his wife 32F, they just got married about a month ago, they are all from Eastern Europe, and still live there. My wife and I are living in the States and have been married now for 8 years. This is relevant because I want to know if what happened is considered more normal in countries like Poland, Czech, Romania than it is in the US. My wife, brother-in-law, BIL, and I were all three hanging out in the dry sauna talking and having a nice afternoon. The sauna came with the Airbnb, so it's nice and private. After a while I get tired of the sauna and say I'm going out to sit in the hot tub. My wife and BL say they want to hang back and stay in the sauna. Now I'll say my BL had no clothes on other than a towel, my wife her bathing suit, I was also wearing a bathing suit. We were all covered. I left, sat in the tub for 20 minutes, then went back into the sauna to check on my wife and BL. When I walked in, my BL was standing at the shower door, yes there was a shower too, shower door open talking towel on. My wife's bathing suit was bundled up on the floor across the room, so I knew she was naked while my BL was staring straight at her. When I walked in my BL sort of pushed back away from the shower entrance and started acting slightly nervous odd. I walked into the shower and my wife was rinsing off, naked. She asked me for her towel, but I was thrown off by her seeming to be cleaning her nether. Anyway, I handed her the towel, then her and her brother were quick to rush us out of the sauna as they had just gotten done cleaning it up and he was exhausted. It's important that I mention that I hadn't ever mentioned being done with the sauna, and in fact, I had planned on using it a bit longer. However they proceeded to rush us out the door. The whole vibe changed, seemingly. Maybe it was just in my head because I saw my wife naked with someone else, unsure. A few hours go by and I can't contain myself once me and my wife are in bed alone. I straight up tell her how odd the situation was. I told her it upset me to walk into on this situation. She said it's normal for her and her family to be naked in front of one another. That they grew up that way. I said that's kind of odd in itself, but could be understood while they were kids with their parents living in a very small apartment, but it's objectively strange to do it now as 30-somethings. I asked her why she was naked. Why not rinse off in bathing suit? Why was the bathing suit on the floor on the opposite side of the room? She says she didn't want to, she didn't think it was a big deal, and she told me she threw it, her bathing suit, out of the shower, then I called her out. I said, no, you clearly stepped out of it. She admitted that she lied about throwing it. I then asked her why her brother was staring at her while talking in the shower, again, she lied and said she wasn't. I called her out again. I asked her if anything else happened while I was out. She said they cleaned up, he took a shower, then she got in after he finished. I asked her if anything weird happened, she said that's disgusting and no. I said this whole situation disturbed me. The vibe made me feel like I needed to ask these gross questions. I hated asking, but I never would have gotten over this if I had not. I told her I felt it was wrong to do this to me regardless of the fact that he's her brother. I said I have a hard time believing her that nothing else occurred since she lied twice about her suit and where I saw her brother standing when I walked in. I told her that her and her brother gave me the same vibe I had experienced after I had just caught people post-intercourse. you can imagine this conversation went on for some time, but she never got overly upset. Cried only once and very briefly, but for the most part just acted apologetic and played the ignorance card. This was 2 days ago and things have normalized. She said she didn't understand that what she was doing was odd for me. She said sorry and that it wouldn't happen again. I really love my wife, even though I feel like her and her brother's relationship is too intimate. I hope I didn't do permanent damage to it just now. I feel as though I was setting boundaries. Edit 1, well, I got a mixed bag of responses here. Thank you for the constructive advice. Lots of you made sense. Some of you are real assholes and need therapy as much as you say I do. Some of you made great points without making me out to be an abuser, so thank you. But the points are good regardless. Thank you for the reality. I will apologize to my wife. I was making it weird. I see that now. The circumstance definitely triggered a part of my brain that goes off the rails. It's one I've worked to manage my whole life. It has improved, but it's still challenging. The "Divorce is What You Deserve" group had a great showing as well. To you all, I've been on Reddit for 10 years, and I've always felt sorry for you when I read your responses. I hope your lives improve to a point where you stop wishing misery down to your level someday. Stories number 6. My boyfriend's sister confessed she has feelings for me, and I have no idea what to do. So, this is a mess, and I haven't told anyone in real life yet, not my friends. Not my boyfriend, not even my therapist, though I probably should, but it's been sitting on my chest for a few days now, and I need to get this out. I, 34F, have been with my boyfriend, 36M, for almost 3 years. We've had a solid relationship, stable, communicative, supportive. The kind of relationship I always hoped to find in my 20s but only really figured out how to maintain in my 30s. He's kind, emotionally mature, and just easy to be with. I can see a future with him. We've talked about moving in together, possibly getting married in the next few years. You get the idea. His family has always been a pretty regular part of our life. We go over to his parents' place for dinner at least once a month. His mom texts me recipes, and his sister, let's call her Jess, 29F, and I have always had a really good relationship. Honestly, I thought we just got along well. She's funny, smart, we have similar taste in music and movies, and she's always been warm and welcoming to me. I thought it was just one of those easy friendships that naturally develops with someone close to your partner. But last weekend, something shifted. My boyfriend had to work late on Saturday, and Jess texted me in the afternoon asking if I wanted to hang out. She was already going to be in my neighborhood, so I said sure. She came over around 5, and we ordered takeout, watched some Netflix, and cracked open a bottle of wine. It started normal. We were laughing, venting about work, swapping skincare tips, typical stuff. But as the night went on, she started acting a little different. She was sitting closer than usual on the couch. Her compliments became more pointed, things like, "You're just effortlessly sexy, you know," and, "I've never met someone like you." I brushed it off at first. I figured maybe she was tipsy, maybe it was just wine talk. But then she touched my arm, let her hand linger longer than necessary, and said, "You know, if things were different, if you weren't with my brother, I think you and I would be perfect together." I froze. I laughed not because it was funny, because I panicked. It was that awkward, tight laugh that comes out when you have no clue what else to do. I said something like, "Don't let your brother hear that," and changed the subject to a movie we had on in the background. She didn't press it after that, and eventually she called an Uber and left. No goodbye hug. No weird goodbye. Just gone. Since then, radio silence. She hasn't texted me, hasn't liked anything on social media, and I feel weird. I feel like I'm holding a grenade and I don't know whether to throw it or bury it. Now here's the real dilemma. Do I tell my boyfriend? If the roles were reversed, if his best friend or my brother confessed something like that to him, I think I'd want to know. But the problem is, this isn't just a friend. It's his sister. His only sibling. They're close, and I'm scared. I'm scared that he won't believe me, or worse, that he will believe me, and it'll tear their relationship apart. I don't want to cause a rift in his family. I don't want Thanksgiving to become World War III. I keep telling myself maybe it was just a drunk slip-up and she regrets it and it'll never happen again. But what if it does? What if she meant it? What if she decides to tell him in some warped way to get ahead of it and make it seem like I encouraged her? My stomach is in knots. I feel like I'm lying by omission. Every time he casually mentions his sister or talks about getting the family together for dinner, I tense up. I don't want to go and sit across from her like everything's normal. And the worst part? A tiny, annoying part of me keeps replaying that moment on the couch. The way she said it. The way her eyes lingered. It's not that I reciprocate her feelings, I love my boyfriend, but there's something about that kind of vulnerability that makes you think, I don't know what to do. I've written and deleted 5 different versions of a text to her. Hey, about the other night. Just wanted to make sure we're cool. Was that just the wine talking? But I haven't sent any of them, and I definitely haven't said anything to my boyfriend. I don't want to break his heart. I don't want to cause drama. I just want this all to go away and pretend it never happened. But I know that's not how life works. So yeah, if anyone has advice, I'm all ears. What do you do when the person you love has a sister who might love you too? Update, my boyfriend's sister told me she has feelings for me, and then this happened. Hi again. First of all, wow. I didn't expect that many people to respond, let alone with such thoughtful advice. Thank you to everyone who weighed in. Some of your comments gave me the push I needed to stop overthinking and just do something. So, here's what happened. I told him. It took me another full day of pacing around, second-guessing myself, and rehearsing it in my head 100 times before I actually sat my boyfriend down and told him everything. And I mean everything. I told him about the wine night, about how Jess had touched my arm and looked me in the eyes and said we'd be perfect together in another life. I told him how I laughed it off because I was panicking, how I'd been feeling sick and uncomfortable ever since, and how I didn't know if I was overreacting or underreacting or just plain losing my mind. His reaction, surprisingly calm. He didn't yell, didn't get defensive. He kind of leaned back, rubbed his jaw, and said something like, "Yeah, that kind of sounds like her. She pushes boundaries sometimes to see how people react. She might have just been messing around or testing you." I just stared at him, testing me. I didn't even know how to feel about that. Was I relieved he wasn't mad? Or more concerned that he wasn't surprised? Then he said, "Let's talk to her." I wasn't expecting that. About 30 minutes later, Jess came over. I was nervous as hell, like heart pounding, palms sweating, nervous. I didn't even know how we were going to bring it up, but before I could say anything, he just blurted it out. "So, what was up with that weird perfect together comment?" And she laughed, like, full-on belly laughed. I, meanwhile, was sitting on the couch blinking like an idiot because this was not the tone I expected for this conversation. Apparently, she thought it would be funny. Yep, funny. She said she was joking and testing me to see if I'd stay loyal to her brother or if I'd entertain it, because some girls wouldn't hesitate. She called it a loyalty test. I wasn't laughing. I told them both, as calmly as I could, that that wasn't okay. That this wasn't some casual prank or harmless joke. I said something like, "You made me feel uncomfortable in my own space. You made me doubt myself. And you definitely made me feel like I was holding on to some terrible secret. That's not funny, that's manipulative." That kind of sobered the mood. Jess apologized. Sincerely, I think. She said she didn't mean to hurt me, that she thought I'd just laugh it off, that she thought I'd know she was kidding. She even added that she thinks I'm incredible, and that I'm the best thing that's ever happened to her brother. She said she has a boyfriend, which I didn't even know, and that she's not into women like that. Honestly, I believe her, mostly, but that doesn't mean it didn't cross a line. I told her, very clearly, that if anything like this ever happens again, I'm not going to be so calm about it. There's a difference between being close with your sibling's partner and whatever the hell that was. So. Yeah. Weird week. Weird, confusing, emotional week. I'm still unpacking everything and trying to figure out how I feel. I think I'm relieved it wasn't a real confession. But I also feel kind of exposed. Violated in a way. Like I was part of someone's little loyalty experiment without my consent. It made me realize just how fragile family dynamics can be, especially when you're not technically family yet. My boyfriend was supportive afterward, though. He admitted Jess has always been kind of reckless with boundaries and promised to talk to her again on his own. He reassured me that I didn't overreact, that I was right to bring it up, and that he's proud of how I handled it. We've scheduled a weekend trip away, just the two of us. I think we need it, I know I do. Anyway, thanks again to everyone who listened and encouraged me to speak up. You helped more than you know. I'll update again if anything else unfolds, but for now, I'm going to try and let this go and just enjoy being in a relationship with someone I love, without random loyalty tests thrown in. Also, to whoever said, run not walk. I see you and I respect the chaos. Final update, my boyfriend's sister told me she has feelings for me, and now things are clear. Hi again. It's been a few weeks, and I wanted to give a final update since some of you asked how things played out after the joke confession incident. Short version, things are fine, but they're not the same. The aftermath. After the sit down, I tried to shake off the unease. I really did. But if I'm being honest, the vibe between me and Jess just hasn't fully gone back to normal. We've hung out a couple of times since, but it feels more polite than friendly. The ease and closeness that used to be there. It's kind of gone. I've realized I don't fully trust her anymore, not because I think she's secretly in love with me. I believe her when she says it was a joke, but because she chose to put me in that position and didn't see anything wrong with it until I pointed it out. That says a lot. Me and my boyfriend. He's been supportive more than I expected. Honestly, after the conversation, he took the time to really listen to how uncomfortable I felt. He didn't try to defend his sister. He didn't try to downplay it. He just said, I want you to feel safe around the people I care about. If something makes you feel disrespected, we'll deal with it. We also talked about boundaries, not just with Jess, but with friends, family, even us. It actually ended up being one of the healthiest conversations we've ever had. What's changed? The weird part is, I'm kind of grateful it happened. Not because it was fun, spoiler, it wasn't, but because it taught me something. About trust. About gut instinct. About speaking up even when it feels awkward or dramatic. If I hadn't told him the truth, I would have been walking around with this quiet resentment building inside me, and no one would have known why. We're stronger now. I feel heard, and he knows I'm not afraid to speak my mind if something feels off. Jess has backed off a little, not in a dramatic or icy way, just, respectfully, and that's honestly the best I could ask for. So, that's that. No dramatic fallout, no family war, just some hard conversations, some boundaries redrawn, and a clearer understanding of who's in my corner. Thank you again to everyone who gave advice, validated my feelings, or just read along. This community gave me the clarity I didn't even know I needed. And to anyone out there holding in something that feels too weird to bring up, say it. You might be surprised how freeing it is to stop pretending you're okay. Signing off. Op. Stories number 7. Aita for pulling my daughter from soccer camp and telling her that she can't see her ghetto friends anymore. My daughter is in soccer camp twice a week since the beginning of the summer. She is 15. She has made 2 new friends and I do not like them. They have been over my home once and they were rude, loud, and obnoxious. They made a mess of the house, gave me attitude when I asked them to quiet down, one rolled her eyes and started arguing with me, they were blasting music, and money went missing. I had $40 on the counter and it disappeared. So I am not the biggest fan of them, and after that I didn't allow them to hang out at our home. My daughter was not a fan of this but still saw them at soccer camp. The soccer camp is next to a plaza and they allow the kids to get food from the fast food places. I got a call from the coach that my daughter and her 2 friends caused issues at Arby's. She recorded it on her phone. Her 2 friends were heckling the fast food worker and left after causing a mess, dumped their drink all over the ground and flipped off the worker. My daughter was recording this and laughing along. TBH, I found it disgusting. I informed her that she is being pulled out of soccer camp because she can't behave by herself and that she won't be seeing those friends anymore. She was very unhappy and started an argument. She told me that I don't like them because they are ghetto and I told her she is correct. They are too ghetto, too loud, too rude, too disrespectful and I am not allowing her near them. She hasn't talked to me since. I shared this with my sister and she basically told me I forgot my roots and to let her see the friends. Edit. For more contexts, I grew up in a horrible neighborhood and yeah, that type of behavior was common where I grew up. Yes, I do find that behavior ghetto as hell. Also, I am black, my daughter is mixed. Still think it is super ghetto. Stories number 8. I, 26M, think my, 24F, girlfriend is cheating on me with my best friend because of Wi-Fi, so using an old throwaway for obvious reasons. But basically my girlfriend and I have been dating for a bit over a year now, and have been seriously considering moving in together. Last night we decided to go out for dinner to discuss it. We decided that I would move in with her once my lease is up in April. I texted my best friend, let's call him Jake, to tell him the good news. He told us he wanted to buy us a few drinks and us all crash at his place to celebrate. He said we could just meet at his house and then Uber to the bar. We figured why not, right? He's met her numerous times, and we all get along really well, but always while out somewhere or at my place. Never his house. Well, we get to his house, and my girlfriend says she really needs to use the bathroom before we start drinking, so her and I run inside, she sets her phone and purse on his table, and she runs into the bathroom. My buddy stayed outside in case the Uber showed up. My girlfriend's phone went off, and she asked me to check it to see if it was her friend finally getting back to her about her coming with us or not. My buddy is single and she told me she would try and hook them up. Well, when I turned on her screen, I noticed that it showed it was connected to a Wi-Fi network. I checked on my own phone and all the Wi-Fi networks there have passcodes. I'm trying to see if maybe there's any other reasonable explanation before I jump to conclusions. I was thinking maybe she used to date an ex that lives nearby, but she just replaced her phone about 3 or so months ago because her old one broke. I don't know what to do. I don't want to risk losing my girlfriend, and possibly my best friend, just because I'm freaking out about something so small. I don't know if I'm ready to lose both of them at the same time. Update. Since my update post was removed and locked, I figured I'd post it here for those who were curious and didn't get a chance to read the update. I also want to say thank you to everyone and their advice. It's better at least knowing the truth though, than trying to ignore that gut feeling and intuition. I've taken a few days for myself. I read most of the comments, and I realized something. Sorry for not updating you guys sooner. I spoke with her 2 nights ago, and was just straightforward and honest. I told her about how I saw that her phone had connected to Wi-Fi and I wasn't sure why it did that. She got quiet, and didn't say anything for what felt like an eternity. Then she just said she wasn't sure what it would have connected to, maybe a local shop or something. I would have maybe accepted this, but I realized that when we got back that night, she went to get a glass of water. I was sitting in the kitchen and the very first cabinet she opened was the glasses. It could have been a coincidence, but at that point I doubt it. She broke down and confessed that she had spent a couple of nights with him a few weeks ago. That he had hit her up on Facebook and that they only talked on there. She said it was a mistake, and purely physical, for fun. It's a lot to process right now. I've shut them both out, and I'm just trying to get a better hold on my feelings and emotions. I feel betrayed by both of them. Final comments. Commenter 1. Just read your original post and wow. I never would have thought that much about the Wi-Fi thing. Sad face. I'm sorry that this happened to you. Your best friend is an absolute asshole and so is the girl. I certainly hope she's your ex now. Time to move on and make better friends. I can't imagine how you're feeling, but know that it will get better. Reply. You know, it's hard. But I'm glad I found out before we moved in together. I think it isn't even her that hits the hardest. Like part of everyone I think expects or at least knows a partner cheating on them is a possibility. But whoever thinks their best friend would? Especially because she said he initiated the contact. Like that hurts me more than anything. I don't even know if she's being honest that he initiated it, but it's going to make it difficult for me to trust again. Not sure how I can get over this one. Commenter 2. How did she not need to ask where the bathroom is? Reply. I looked past the whole bathroom thing, but realized after reading your comment that she knew exactly where his glasses were at the end of the night, too. Why did she ask him to check her phone and not worry? I thought about this one for a while. I don't know the passcode to her phone, it just shows if she got a new Snapchat or text or whatever. But I thought about how she asked me to check it for her. She probably knew he wasn't messaging her at the time, since we were all together, so she felt comfortable with asking me to check it. When asked to clarify what she meant by it was just physical, she said it was all physical with him. Like not emotional. She was trying to say we can move past it because it's not like she loves him. That it was just for fun, and that there weren't any feelings or anything involved. Stories number 9. AIO if I break up with my fiancé over a name change. A few weeks ago my fiancé, 27F, and I, 28M, were talking about our wedding, which is scheduled for June of next year, and our honeymoon. At one point I jokingly said something to the effect of, "We'll see about that, future Mrs., my last name," and she visibly cringed. She told me she isn't going to be Mrs., my last name, and I said, okay, then I'll be Mr., her last name, because I don't really care if she takes my name or I take hers. I just want to share one. She said, no, I'm keeping my name and you can keep yours. I asked who our future kids would be named after. She said her because she's the mother. So I'd be the odd one out. Edit to add, I should have clarified this, but she's also opposed to hyphenating. She's adamant we should each keep our own last names and any future kids will only have hers. For context, I grew up in foster care after both my parents died. I didn't have any other biological family, so I was bounced around from home to home from the ages of 5 to 18, when I aged out. I never felt welcome in any of those foster homes and never felt like I had a real family. I always swore I'd have a real family one day though. So naturally I want to share a last name with my wife and our kids. I truly don't care what name. Mine, hers, a new one we both choose, it doesn't matter to me. I just want a real family that I feel connected to. We've been dating for 3 years and engaged for almost 5 months, and this is the first time she said she doesn't want to share a name. Previously she never said anything when I called her, the future Mrs., my last name, so either this is new or she's been holding it in. I've tried to talk to her about why she doesn't want either of us to change our last name, but she doesn't want to discuss it further, and I'm at a loss as to what to do. Would it be an overreaction to break up over this since she won't talk to me about her reasons? She's acting like everything is normal, so I don't know what to think. Edit. This post got a lot more comments than I expected. Thank you to all who replied or sent PMs, except those who called me a misogynist for even suggesting she change her name. I've decided to try to have one more serious conversation with her about my feelings on the subject. I've packed a box with all the things she's left in my house, so if it doesn't go well, I'll return her belongings and end things. We're meeting at a park and I have a good friend who is going to stay nearby but unseen, just in case things go south. If for no other reason than to have a witness that I tried everything I could to talk things out. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, tell her you'd like to change your name and why. She may not realize the reason for it and may be projecting her desire to maintain her name on you. If she can't hear you and understand how hurt you are, I'd be second-guessing too. Since you aren't imposing a change on her, it's worth a discussion. Reply, she knows why she knows all about my past. Commenter 2, have you discussed with her your reasons for wanting to share a name? Instead of asking her why she doesn't want to, be emotionally vulnerable and tell her why you want to. If she isn't open to compromise on that, then it's not compatible and good you figured out now. Reply, she knows why it's important to me. I've said several times in our relationship that I want to feel connected and that I'm looking forward to sharing a name with my future family. Commenter 3, why is she so opposed to it? Has she said? It's something very important to you. Is it important enough that it could end a relationship that would otherwise be headed to marriage? I don't think you are overreacting at all, your feelings are completely valid. She may not want to talk about it anymore, but she is going to have to if she wants the relationship to work. In the end, only you know what your deal breakers are. Reply, she won't tell me. When I ask, she says she won't discuss it further and stop speaking unless I change the subject. Commenter 4, how will you discuss other conflicts or important issues once they inevitably come up during the course of your marriage? To me, the fact she won't even have a conversation about it is a red flag. Reply, this is a concern. We're usually on the same page about issues, and when we aren't we can come to some kind of compromise or mutual understanding. But her not even discussing this is giving me pause. Update 1. Here's an update to my post from yesterday. I'm still processing everything, so I may not reply to comments right away. We met up at a park today. I asked her late last night if she could meet me to talk about something, and she immediately agreed because it seems she thought it was about the wedding. My friend was with me, but waited in my car so he wouldn't be spotted. But I did decide to turn on the voice recorder on my phone because in the past she's manipulated her telling of certain situations to make it seem like she's blameless. I overlooked it before, because I thought she was just used to getting her way. Now I realize that was a mistake on my part. So I got there early and walked around for a few minutes before meeting up with her in a picnic area. I asked her to sit down with me because I needed to ask her some very important questions about our future. I told her I needed answers and I needed her to give me enough respect as a human to not walk away when I'm trying to talk. I started by explaining again how I've never felt like I was part of a real family, not since I lost my parents anyway, and how important it is to me that I feel that connection to my wife and kids. It may seem like a small thing to most, but to me it's huge. I've lived most of my life feeling like I'm completely alone. She told me she knows how hard my life has been and now I have her, so I'm not alone anymore. Then I asked her if she could please explain to me exactly why she is so vehemently against us having the same last name, if she acknowledges that she knows how important it is to me that I share a name with my wife and kids so I feel like I'm in a real family and not an outsider. I reminded her that I don't expect her to take my name, and I'm more than willing to take hers, hyphenate, or come up with something completely different. I just want to share a name with my wife and kids so we're all one family unit. Her response to that was surprising. She rolled her eyes and told me it's so cringy when people have the same last name after they get married. That was her sole reason for us not sharing a name. I asked her to elaborate on that. She went into a whole rant about how she thinks it's cheesy when she meets a couple and they introduce themselves as the S, and that it makes her want to throw up when she hears it, and so many other ways it makes her angry. When I brought up the fact that her parents have the same last name because they're married, she said, that's different, and I wouldn't understand because of being an orphan, which really threw me. Long story short, I let her know that I need some time to myself to really think things over and decide how I want to move forward. I asked her to give me time and I would let her know when I'm ready to talk. She didn't like hearing that, but I told her I needed to leave. So now I'm at home, thinking about everything and wondering how to move on. I know the relationship is over, but I haven't made the breakup official yet. It's going to hurt for a long time, but I know what I need to do for my own mental health. I can compromise on some things, but I can't be with someone who won't also compromise. Her belongings are still packed up and my friend has offered to drop them off once I end things with her. Luckily I live in a gated condo community, so once I take her name off the approved visitors list she won't be able to come to my house. I know she won't react well when I tell her we're over. That's all. I'm going to take some time for myself and try to get over everything. Ending an engagement is tough and I don't wish this heartbreak on anyone. Thanks for the support from all your strangers out there. If I have any other updates on my situation, I'll probably post them to my profile so I don't take up space on the subreddit. Relevant comments. OOP on his childhood background. Reply, I wasn't abandoned. My parents were killed in a car accident when I was young. OOP responds to a downvoted commenter accusing him of breaking up over something minor. Reply, if you had read the entire post, you would know that I never expected her to take my last name. I was ready to take her last name. She's the one who told me she didn't want to have the same last name as me, no matter what it was. So no, I'm not breaking up with her because she won't take mine. It's because she refuses to share one. Oh yeah, because it's so healthy to do something your spouse has said will make them angry and that they don't want. What a way to start a marriage. Commenter 1, she seriously tried weaponizing the very reason that you want to have the same last name as your spouse's kids when trying to tell you why you wouldn't understand why her parents sharing a last name isn't cringy, but other couples are. Seriously, I'd say she doesn't deserve a discussion for the breakup. Write a letter, put it in her box of crap, and have the friend leave it at her door. Unless the ring is an heirloom and you want it back, of course. In that case, make sure you get it away from the witch. Commenter 2, but I did decide to turn on the voice recorder on my phone because in the past she's manipulated her telling of certain situations to make it seem like she's blameless. She rolled her eyes and told me it's so cringy when people have the same last name after they get married. That was her sole reason for us not sharing a name. When I brought up the fact that her parents have the same last name because they're married, she said, that's different, and I wouldn't understand because of being an orphan, which really threw me. I'm sure you don't need me to point these out. But if she can't compromise on something so small, I fear what the marriage could look like. Looking forward to the update. I have a feeling she'll spin this and tell everyone you broke up with her because she didn't want to change her last name. I was able to empathize with your story through your post. I'm not sure why she's not willing to. Assuming she won't change her mind. Commenter 3, I'm so sorry for how she responded to you. You did the right thing by emphasizing how important this was to you, and it's upsetting that she dismissed your feelings. Also, her saying that you wouldn't understand because of being an orphan is mean, manipulative, and untrue. I think you made the right call. Good luck to you, I know your forever family is out there waiting for you. Update 2, this will be the final update, I hope, to my relationship issue. A lot of people asked for a resolution, so I thought I'd give one to those interested. I went to work on Monday and my boss could tell I was depressed, so she asked me what was going on. I explained everything I had on my mind and the conversation I had to have over the weekend. She asked me if I wanted a distraction from everything and offered to have me accompany her and her husband, co-owners of the company I work for, on a short trip to meet with some potential clients. I would be working on the project anyway, so she thought it might be good to have me in the meetings, especially if I needed to get out of town. So early Tuesday morning the three of us left for the meetings. We were busy all afternoon and part of the evening, so I wasn't checking my personal cell. At 10 p.m. I saw that I had a lot of missed calls and texts from my fiancée. By a lot I mean over 50 texts and 19 missed calls since that morning. It seemed she went to my condo, and when security wouldn't let her in, since I took her off my list of approved visitors, she flipped out. So she started calling and texting me. Then she started trying to contact our mutual friends and her family, none of whom knew where I was either. Her last-ditch effort to get me to answer her was to threaten to call the police and say she hadn't seen me in days and was worried I was suicidal. And when I didn't answer right away, she went through with that plan. The police were allowed to enter the condo community, and when I didn't answer my door they couldn't do anything else and left. This didn't please my fiancée and she kept calling and texting. When I saw the calls and messages, I sent one text in reply that only said, I'm on a work trip until Thursday. Please respect my need for time to think about everything. We will talk when I get home. Then I ignored everything from her for the rest of the week while I was away. Fast forward to Thursday evening, we land back in the city and I drove home, wanting to go to bed and sleep in the next day since I was given the day off. I guess she was lurking nearby because I was told later she tried to follow me into the gate but was stopped by security since she never scanned a parking pass. That's when she started blowing up my phone again. I texted back one more time to tell her to give me space and we would talk later, then showered and went to sleep. By Friday morning I had 73 more texts and 32 missed calls. At that point I knew I had to just end things with her sooner rather than later so I could get some peace. Long story made short, as of yesterday afternoon, I've ended the engagement. I took the same friend who was nearby last weekend, so I'd have a witness in case she did anything. She refuses to give the ring back because she thinks I'll come to my senses soon and she'll keep it until then. I don't even care. She can have it. Her friends and family started calling me within 15 minutes of me ending things. I've blocked them all since they're being nasty to me and blaming me for it all. Judging by what they're saying, it seems like she made up a story about me having a mental health crisis and wanting to be alone. Again, I don't even care. My good friends were told what happened when my friend sent out a text with a brief explanation. I hope she leaves me alone so I can heal from everything over time. I'm just so emotionally exhausted. Top comments. Commenter 1, you've been more than reasonable with her on this issue. You even offered to take her name if she didn't want yours. You thoroughly explained why sharing a name was very important to you. She instead chose to ignore all of that and drew her line in the sand. I don't know what she was expecting. Honestly, it sounds like you dodged a bullet if you hadn't had this argument and went through with your plan for marriage. It appears she had very little, if any, respect or consideration for you. Glad you are free of her now and can finally have some peace, OP. Commenter 2, a lot of commenters are saying she sounds unhinged. I agree, but I think it's more than just that. You've described before how she always has to have her way. I think the name issue was a power play on her part, because the cringe thing sounds like utter bullshit she made up on the spot. And now that you've broken it off with her, she lost the upper hand and now she's pissed. You definitely haven't seen or heard the last of her. She's going to get vindictive and you'll probably need a restraining order. Commenter 3, you might want to call the police and let them know not to believe her if she tries to swat you again. Good job breaking up with her. I hope you get the ring back so you can sell it and buy yourself something nice. Stories number 10. Aisha for not inviting my brother's girlfriend to my graduation after he asked me to let her wear my cap and gown. Hey y'all, so my post had gotten removed, fuck the Reddit mods, so I may post this again. I might leave out some stuff so I apologize for that. This is a throwaway because my friends know my main. This incident happened on May 2nd. I, 18F, don't have a good relationship with my brother's, 15M, girlfriend, 15F. She is a psychopath who has said horrible things about my family and I can't believe my brother actually likes this girl. So here is why I'm on Reddit. I graduate high school in 17 days. I am so excited, and we are only allowed to invite 7 people, we have almost 900 seniors. I invited my mom, dad, brother, grandma, my grandfather passed away in 2019, aunt and uncle. I have invited 6 people and I wanted to invite my cousin who I don't get to see often. He is an officer in the military, and I asked him if he wanted to come to my graduation and he said yes. So I decided to hold the extra one in case he comes or not. The next day, May 3rd, he came up to me and asked me if I had an extra ticket. I asked him why and he said that his girlfriend wants to know the experience of sharing a special moment with someone, and that this moment was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I kid you not, he requested if I would allow his girlfriend to wear my cap and gown on my graduation day to feel special, and to know what it is like to be on top of the world. I absolutely fucking lost it. I asked him how can he be this fucking stupid to think that this request was okay. Because there was absolutely no way in hell I was letting her come to my graduation, let alone wear my cal and gown. He blew up at me asking why I couldn't do this for her and that he just wants to make her happy because he loves her so much. I told him that this is my graduation, not hers, and that she will get this moment when it's her time to graduate. This is the part where I might be the TA. I told him that he had to choose between me or her. I told him that she can take her side, or he can stay the fuck home and not come to my graduation. He started crying and ran to my parents to rat me out about what I said to him. He always runs to them whenever he doesn't get his way, and my parents told him that I was right. But my grandma called me an AH for yelling at him. She coddles him so she always take his side. I love my brother so much. But I also don't want him to miss my graduation. But I'm not inviting his girlfriend under any circumstances. So Ada, for the mods that say that this post is fake and got it removed, fuck you. People like this exist and ask for the most outrageous things. Update, Ada for not inviting my brother's girlfriend to my graduation after he asked me to let her wear my cap and gown. I had completely forgotten about this Reddit account. I lost the password and recovered it. And I found out that my post actually got removed, because fuck the Reddit mods, you suck. That pissed me off, and if anyone cares, here is an update from that post I made 2 months ago. It's a lot and it's all over the place. I have so much shit going on, so I apologize if I leave out anything. TLDR, my brother asked me if his girlfriend can wear my cap and gown on my high school graduation day to know the experience of sharing a special moment with someone, and got mad when I said no, and my parents sided with me while my grandma sided with him. So I, 18F, finally graduated high school. Yay, and I'm moving out of my mom's house in a couple of weeks to go to the military. God bless my cousin for helping me join. But a week prior to graduation, after I found out my post got removed, I ultimately decided to invite my brother, he's 15, to my high school graduation. It was so hard to decide because even though me and him don't get along, I was hoping he would change his behavior and realize his request was ridiculous after his psychotic GF, also 15, wanted me to give her my cap and gown on my graduation day. SRLY who TF asked someone that, but then on the day of graduation, I had found out my brother tried to invite his GF behind my back. I never felt so angry because it shows that he didn't learn his lesson. I warned him that if invited her, he will not come to the grad party. I told him that he will not come to my graduation party. The week after, he got mad at me and said, "Why isn't my girlfriend allowed to come? We can all celebrate together as a family." Okay, first of all buddy, your girlfriend is a unhinged psycho bitch who has no morals and she literally tried to insult our mother after she got sick. Second of all, she doesn't even like that I'm your fucking sister. Like what? She doesn't like that I'm Latina. She's a racist, which I'm not even surprised. She doesn't like that I have a large friend group. Dog, she made fun of our dead grandfather. I punched her for that, like she is literally a narcissist. After I told him he isn't invited, his dumbass literally snitched on me and told her. A few hours later she and her parents came to my mom's house. My mom and dad aren't together anymore but they are still friends, and wanted to reprimand me for insulting their little girl. I don't take shit from anyone, so I told them off, which I'm not proud of. I don't like raising my voice unless necessary, and told them about the horrible things their precious daughter did. They stared at me like I had 3 heads and said, "I genuinely wish I was joking. She probably didn't mean any of that. You know how teenagers are, don't be dramatic and sensitive over some jokes." I was about to lose my mind until my mom, God bless her, ripped them a new one and threatened to call the cops, and they left. My brother eventually broke up with her and he wasn't even sad about leaving her. After that, we never saw the girlfriend and her parents again. That's the update. I wish this was fake, I genuinely wish it was, but it's not. People like this actually exist and it's really disgusting and absolutely pathetic. It sucks that people are evil ASF, but it is what it is. I might not update again, but I probably will if anything happens. Stories number 11. I, 27M, am leaving my girlfriend, 25F, because she's been trying to have an affair. This is hard, we've been together for nearly 8 years. We built a life together. So, there's so much to this, but basically I did that thing that everyone in a relationship should be wary of. I looked through her phone. And I found messages upon messages from a mutual friend who lives out of state now that were concerning. Initially I was gonna leave right then and there, but I wanted to try to talk to her. So I gave her almost 3 chances to own up to it. The first time I was really vague and just asked if there was someone else. She flat out denied. I thought I was prepared for her to deny, but turns out I wasn't. Then the other times I got more and more pointed. Finally she admitted that the guy had messaged her and flirted with her, but we knew he was that way, and while she didn't tell him to fuck off, she wasn't into it. Now I didn't see any messages from her at the beginning that showed she was exactly complicit in it. So while I didn't believe her, I tried to give her a chance. I know it's stupid, but we've been together for so long and we built a life together. But then I dug again. And there it was, all of it, and worst, she took the time to insult me to him. That hurts. So fucking much that hurts. I know my faults and I know what I could have worked on in this relationship, but I really tried. Every day I tried. But for her to tell someone else things about me like that, I can't help but feel broken. So, right now I'm waiting for her to wake up and leave for work. Then I'm packing what I can and heading to a friend's place, and I don't know. I spent 8 years on this relationship and I'm gonna walk away from it. I wrote a note out on my phone that I'm gonna write up for her after she leaves. It says everything I can think to say. I mulled over what to say non-stop. Somewhat satisfyingly, I'm gonna tell her how she did this. To know that and remember that. And that if at any point she thinks we can okay that she fucked this and hurt me so much. I'm scared I'm lost and so much, so I don't want to have to do this. But I have to, and I know ultimately it's going to get better. But also fuck all of this. Edit 1, she's up now and getting ready for work. She tried to kiss me and apologized about tossing and turning all night, and she knew it kept me up. I seem to be getting a lot of pushback on the letter. When she leaves I'm gonna pack and I'll mull it over again. But I'll say this, if I decide to write and it ends up being a mistake, then so be it. It felt nice to at least draft it out on my phone. Made things more real so I can convince myself more that I have to leave. Edit 2, 8:30 a.m., she just left for work. I'm going to shower and truthfully let out a nice cry. Then pack my stuff. Lots of people are saying to straight ghost her and lots are saying a short and to the point note instead of letter. I'm gonna contemplate that in the shower. She kept saying, "I love you," and I was reluctant to say it back. She said it 3 times and I kind of grumbled it out once. I'm certain once she reaches work she'll text me about that. I'm not going to respond to her while she's at work. She won't be home till probably 8 tonight. I just realized I should timestamp the edits maybe. I don't know. Edit 3, 8:54, I'm packing up now. Cats seem to know something is up because they won't leave me alone. Honestly breaks my heart. I've been mulling the letter over. I reread it a few times. And I've decided on a short note just laying out that I know and I'm leaving. Essentially something like, I left, I know about you and him, insert what I read and saw. I'm so utterly disappointed in you. I won't be answering my phone and I wish for you not to contact me. At some point we'll get together to discuss logistics. Also, I am reading everyone's comments. If I didn't reply, I'm sorry. To the people that have commented about going through something similar, I am so sorry you're going through this as well. I don't know what you'll be able to glean from my situation, but I hope something here in all of this helps y'all as well. Edit 4, 9:25 a.m. I'm pretty much packed with what I can get out right now. Obviously there's a lot more. I'm writing the note and then leaving. I'll need to find food after I drop off what I have. This may be the last update since she won't be off till later tonight. But I'll respond to y'all when I can. Gives me something to do. Edit 5, 10:42 a.m. I'm at my friend's place. She's giving me the lay of the land. People have been talking about taking the cat. Currently that's not an option. Friend has 3 and a dog. My cats are spoiled and hate anyone that isn't her and I. I'm not worried she'd do anything to them. If anything, she's gonna want them around if she does get upset. Not that she deserves that, but it is what it is. Thank you everyone for the kind words and the advice. I'll respond to some of you again here soon. Someone asked me about my work. I work in equine care. It's actually really cool, I love my job and I love being there. So once I start going back in a few days, it'll be a really good distraction. In a bit I'm going to get food and maybe walk around downtown and goof off. Also, my friend reminded me she's going out of town next week for a week. So I'll have the place to myself. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. But hey, she'll have someone to watch her animals while she's gone, so there's that. I know I have a lot of figuring out to do. But I literally just left. Oh, and someone else mentioned they hope I find things to do to make myself happy. I had plans before all of this to go to the usual brewery with some friends tomorrow. Initially I was gonna call some of them and tell what's going on and I need space, but thinking about it more, it actually sounds like the perfect distraction. Edit 6, 1:45, got food, banh mi and a Mai Tai if anyone was curious, and talked to a couple of friends. So I'm sorry I haven't been replying. It's gonna take a while to go through all the messages and comments, but what I've seen so far I want to say for the umpteenth time thank you y'all. Edit 7, 2:15, okay, this is my last update. Apparently I used a word that alright folks like to use, but it was used to describe me, so whatever. I'm still trying to go through all the comments, but I saw some people had questions I'll do my best to address. The friend is well a friend. I don't know what else to say on that. There's nothing there. A guy and a girl can be friends and that's it. If this is weird for you guys, then I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know if this is gonna be a straight move in. I'm still figuring things out. Some people have said I'm no better than her in 8 years and not being married was already a bad sign and etc. Well, I guess so. Like clearly this relationship isn't working out. Look what it lead to. If that's my fault or her fault or whatever it is the situation I'm in. And on the note of what it lead to, a lot of people asked me what exactly was said or done. I realize I kept it vague and I supposed it was cause I felt weird typing it out. But I don't mind telling you guys what I can. As far as I know, she hasn't actually cheated, i.e. fucked him. They messaged flirtatious things, calling each other hot, sexy, etc., and there's some pictures but no nudes. But the recent thing I found, and I'll touch on the going through the phone thing next, it was messages about wanting to fuck each other. Straight up. That they missed a chance because of me. But, and this for me is the kicker, he apparently wants to make this is where that word was used, of me. And she seemed into it. They wanted to have sex and have me know they did. Which is why I don't think they have yet. On the going through the phone thing, I know it was dumb. I know what I did. I don't advocate. But it is how I found about all of this. I just had suspicions that something was going on with someone. So it did that for me. Would I tell the next person to go through their partner's phone? I don't know. Probably not. I'd tell them if they find something it'll hurt cause this fucking hurts. And if they don't, then they breach the trust and privacy of theirs, so for nothing, and that in and of itself is a weird situation. I don't know folks. Does that help anyone? Should I elaborate more? Update. So we had our talk last night. I got back and she tried to crack a couple of jokes like things were normal. I started it off and told her that I loved her. And I had for the nearly 8 years we were together. But this is something I can't forget or forgive. I told her I knew everything said between them. It disgusted me. That it hurt. Deeply. And that she did that. Now, I told her I didn't believe I'd be okay because of this for a long time. That's half true. This will of course take plenty of healing, but I know I'll be okay. Now for her side. She told me that none of this had to do with me. None of it was my fault. It was all her. Her mistake, her fuck up. She had been feeling unhappy just about life for a while. She felt stuck in life and aimless. Then this guy, an ex-friend, came along and gave her attention, and it distracted her from how unhappy she was with how her life was. But then it started to progress to a point she didn't know what to do. None of what she said she meant to him. She said it because she knew he wanted to hear it. That it almost didn't seem real to her. It almost felt like a game. I told her it was real to me. That she still said those things. That she can't take that back or undo it. She told me she never intended to hurt me. That's been the hardest thing for her. Because she knew I treated her better than anyone else will. That I'm the only person who had and will put up with her bullshit. She told me I really did treat her better than she deserved. This relationship is officially over though. I know there's probably more I wish I could have said, but my real takeaway is that I can let go of it. Move on and start to live a new chapter of my life. I haven't told her this yet. I'm going to Monday, but I have an opportunity on a new place with a coworker. Their roommate leaves in a few months. So that gives me time to save and get some of my life back in order. I have a lot of work ahead of me. A lot of things to figure out. As plenty of people have pointed out, this will be the first time in a long time that I'll be financially and personally independent. I'll only have me to worry about. That's something that'll take some work. But I'm going to welcome the challenge and spend as much time as I can trying to be who I am more than ever. I also want to say from the bottom of my heart, sincerely, thank you to everyone that took the time to read and respond in the last post. This has been and will continue to be one of the hardest things I've gone through. But you guys have been so amazingly gracious with your advice. I will always remember this and the kindness of random strangers on this silly little website. Final update. Hey. Sorry I haven't updated in a long time. First things first, I'm sick. Going to the doctor Monday. Think I have an ulcer in my stomach. Not sure. So I've been dealing with that, but as far as everything else, moving into my new place in about a week. Talk with ex on and off. Wouldn't say things are friendly okay, but we're being civil. There's nothing really for us to talk about anymore, so it's been like once a week something random. We had lunch a couple weeks ago and she opened up a lot. She has growing to do, I do too of course, and she's not doing anything with that guy, just wants to focus on herself and bettering herself. Until this past week, being too sick to go out, I've been hanging out with friends and goofing off. Tried to brave a small concert the other day but almost threw up while I was there. I've been meaning to make an update and I'm sorry I haven't, folks. Things are alright. I've got things going for me. Been basically focusing on that. Budgeting, making various lists of things I need and things I want to do. I'm getting 2 paid vacations this year, and just generally figuring out my life. Stories number 12. Aita for telling my dad's wife I will never consider naming my child after her recently deceased mother. I'm currently 29 weeks pregnant with a girl. My husband and I have already chosen her name, as well as 2 backups in case it doesn't suit her. My dad's wife lost her mother a little under a year ago. They were extremely close and her passing was unexpected, so she's not coping well. My husband and I are trying to be as helpful and accommodating as possible, but we don't live in the same country as them anymore, so there isn't much we can do. Back in February, my dad and his wife came to visit us for 10 days to celebrate our son's birthday. This was our first time seeing them after her mother's passing, and their first time seeing me pregnant. Early during the trip, we had dinner together. We all started talking about my pregnancy and the baby, and when my dad asked if we had any names in mind, his wife stopped us. She asked us if we could consider naming our daughter after her mother. She said she had been wanting to ask us this since she learned we were having a girl, and it would mean a lot to her if we could honor her mother like that. I don't think I have to justify why I wouldn't do that, but in case I do, I never liked her mother or thought of either of them as family. Even if I did, my husband doesn't like the idea of using our children's names as tributes, so we wouldn't name them after any of our deceased loved ones. My husband and I were taken aback. My dad looked a little awkward, so I think he was already expecting her to bring that up. I said I was sorry, but we had already chosen the name and weren't interested in changing it. The mood died a bit, but we did manage to change the subject and enjoy the rest of the evening. My dad's wife was quieter than usual for the next few days, but she didn't bring that up again until the final night of their trip. Everyone was at our place. She pulled me aside and, once again, expressed how perfect it would be for us to keep her mother's memory alive by naming a child after her. She started talking about how much she would have loved it, and how a beautiful name such as hers shouldn't go to waste. I interrupted her and said there is zero chance we would ever consider naming our child after her mother. I told her it would never be up for discussion, and for her own sake, she needs to accept that and stop bringing it up. I was admittedly harsher than I'd intended, but I'm not sure she would have gotten the message otherwise. She barely spoke to me and my husband until she and my dad flew home the next day. My dad and I have been talking about this. He agrees with our refusal. He didn't really like his mother-in-law either, though he never admitted it, but thinks I shouldn't have turned his wife down like that. He told me she's still dealing with her mother's passing, and I should have been more sympathetic. He's insistent she wouldn't mind our daughter's name if we at least told her we'd consider honoring her mother. I don't think humoring her would have been the best call, but I am worried I was too harsh. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA she didn't take no when y'all politely said it so harshly was the only way to get your point across. It's always weird when someone asks you to name a child after someone. It wouldn't even mean the same if you didn't do it because you wanted to. Reply, when my son was born, my dad joked that his name was available, but didn't say anything besides that and didn't complain about the name we actually chose. He later told me it was a joke and he always thought that was a bad idea. Commenter 2, you owe her nothing, especially since you just call her dad's wife, so she doesn't even sound like a close stepmom. It's sad that her mother died, but what does that have to do with you or your unborn child? Don't let her emotionally manipulate you into changing your mind. Reply, my dad started seeing her when I was already in college, and he wasn't interested in remarrying at the time, so I never really registered her as family. I did live with them for a little while, but we had wildly different personalities, so we were never really close. Does OOP's dad's wife have any children? Reply, she does not and will not, tubes tied, from what I gather. I think she never wanted kids, but her mother always wanted grandkids. Was OOP close to her dad's wives and her family? Reply, she doesn't know I didn't like her mother. I was careful to hide that, and never treated her differently. But I'd assumed she at least knew we weren't close. OOP's husband's thoughts on names. Reply, my husband's father has passed away as well, and his relationship with using names as tributes is different. I had briefly considered my late friend's name as one of our son's backups, but gave up when I realized none of us would really feel comfortable with it. I don't think naming your children after people you've lost is inherently bad, but I do think that decision needs to be made carefully. How old is OOP's dad's wife? Reply, she's 44, I'm 29, for the record. Is OOP's dad the first marriage for his current wife and if she was living with her mother at the time? Reply, yes and kind of. They were living together, but because her mother had to move in with her. Does the wife have siblings? Reply, she's an only child, aside from a paternal half-brother she doesn't get along with. I don't know much about her family, but it doesn't seem any of her relatives are having kids right now. Update. Hey guys, I came here for advice a few months ago. I gave birth to a healthy baby girl back in May. She's now a month old and thriving. We're all in love with her. My husband and I decided to go with our first choice for her name. Truth be told, the backups didn't stand a chance, and it suits her perfectly. My dad stopped bringing up the subject of how I'd talked to his wife a few weeks after my first post. The last thing he said about this essentially boiled down to, be nice to my wife, but for the love of God don't name my granddaughter after my mother-in-law. He wanted to visit us this month to meet the baby, but I told him to wait a while longer. The house is a mess and we're still getting used to having 2 kids. His wife has been very detached from anything that concerns my daughter. She spent the weeks leading up to my baby's birth radio silent. She usually lives on her phone and texts frequently, so I figured she was still upset. Both my and my husband's families like our daughter's name. My dad in particular complimented it a lot. His wife did not react to it. My aunt visited them recently, and she later told me that while my dad would show her pictures and videos of my daughter, his wife avoided the topic entirely, and was cold whenever someone tried to get her to engage. To be clear, none of that ever bothered me. But this behavior was very out of character for her. When I was pregnant with my son, she created a group chat with my whole paternal family, and her mother, to start a countdown for his birth. She was my only acquaintance who protested when I said I didn't want pictures of my child posted online. About a week ago, my dad's wife called me. She reiterated that she felt I wasn't being very understanding of what she's going through, but apologized for how cold she's been lately. During the call, she explained that losing her mother had made her regret her decision not to have kids. Her mother had always wanted to be a grandmother, and she wishes she could have given her the opportunity to experience that. She took her mother's passing very hard, and it made her reflect about various things she wishes she'd done differently, but the news of my second pregnancy intensified that regret in particular. My dad's wife said that she'll always wish I'd named my daughter after her mother, but still accepts the name I chose. She also told me she'll start seeing a therapist soon. I was mostly quiet during the call, because frankly, I didn't know how to react. Having since had time to think about what she said, I'm a little freaked out. It's still hard to explain how I feel, and this isn't even close to my top concern right now, but I didn't see this coming. I almost feel bad admitting this, but I'm very glad we're in different hemispheres. I can't imagine what she's going through, and I wish her nothing but the best, but I don't think being close to my family right now would be good for either of us. Thinking back to how I handled things when she first asked us to use her mother's name, I'm pretty sure I made the right call. I sincerely wish I'd been more polite, but humoring her would have probably led to a much bigger headache. I'm not sure when we'll see her again, but it won't be until next year. My dad will come visit us in October, but she won't come with him. When she does meet my daughter, I hope she's doing better. Right now, I'll focus on my children. Postpartum sucks, and my husband and I are still getting adjusted to being a family of 4, but we love both our kids so much. I don't know how I got so lucky. I almost definitely won't post again. I am very tired and very busy, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon. Thank you. Edit. To those asking, I'm freaked out because I wasn't expecting her reasoning to be that she regretted not giving her mother grandchildren, as I stated in this post. I sympathize with her grief and I'm glad she's decided to get help. Relevant comments. OOP's thoughts on naming children after loved ones. Reply, we probably wouldn't have considered that, either. My husband doesn't like the idea of naming our kids after people we've lost. Commenter 1, I think our stepmom was going through grief of losing her mom. She was hoping by you naming her your daughter after her would make it feel like she was still around. You did good by not naming your daughter after her. The good news is she realized it and has apologized for it and she's seeking some grief counseling. I got my BF a bracelet that has a small picture of his dad in it. His is a black leather braided strap with a small silver circle with the picture. You have to hold it up to the light to see the picture, so it's more than knowing what it is that makes him feel it. There are all types you can get. I chose a more masculine design but there are more feminine ones you could find. I did a Google search and found the style I liked. The gift could be an apology for being harsh, but a nice token of I know you're going through it and thought this might be a nice way to help you carry her with you. Reply, I'm very glad she's decided to start therapy. I feel like acknowledging that you need help is a necessary step, but actually going through with it is harder than it looks. I have a different experience with grief than she does. There was one specific time in my life in which I lost many of my loved ones very quickly. I've discussed that in therapy, but I regret not working through it sooner. Commenter 2, it is good that she has put space between herself and your family, as well as going to get therapy. I'd be concerned she would see your daughter as a reincarnation of her mother, or a way to honor her mother by making a bond with your daughter leading to being OTT and or leaving your son out. Not using the name was definitely the right call. Reply, using the name was never an option. I really did not like her mother, and neither did my husband. Plus, we didn't really like the name either. My concern on my original post was whether I'd been too harsh. OOP on having more children and if naming another girl after the wife's mother is an option. Reply, my husband and I are not planning on a third one right now, but we're open to the possibility. Even if we do have another baby, we're not using her mother's name. Stories number 13. Teen son wants to get a circumcision. Should I let him? My son, 13, came to me, Dad, and told me he wanted to get circumcised. I asked if it was hurting or he was having problems. He said no. I asked why he wanted to do it. He said he thought about it a lot and it was annoying to clean and deal with and he thought it looked better without it. That me and most of the guys his age were and it's not like we hated being that way. I asked if this was for a girl. He said no. I told him it would hurt and he wouldn't be able to play with it for a while. He said, oh my God Dad please stop. I said I just wanted him to be informed. He said he had $300 saved up for it and he'd try to get more. I said not to worry about that and I'd talk to Mom. I was leaning towards letting him do it. He seemed to have thought about it for a while, had logical reasons, and had a plan for it. But my wife seemed against it. She said, he's 13, he's still developing. This is irreversible surgery. What if he changes his mind? He should wait until he's 18 and if he still decides he wants it he can do it then. I said I felt it was important to listen to what he wanted. Wife suggested we wait 6 months and see if he still wanted it then. I suggested we still meet with a doctor so he could get more informed. She said no, she didn't want to get his hopes up if we still said no. I went and told my son since it was a big decision we thought it best to wait 6 months to think about it. He said he'd already thought about it a lot and he wanted it. He asked if we could at least talk to a doctor. I said once the 6 months was up. He asked if this was Mom's idea. I said we were in agreement. He wasn't convinced. He said, why does she even need to be involved? I said 'cause she was his mom. He said, she doesn't even have a penis. She doesn't know what it's like. Why does she even care so much what my dick looks like? I just said let's take a little time to think about this. We talked yesterday and he's been mad at us ever since. Where should I go from here? Stories number 14. My girlfriend cut off my hair without my consent. I broke up with her. I, 22M, have been with my girlfriend, 22F, for 2 years now. We're in college and we met in a club meeting on campus. We've been chilling as friends a while and I started to get feelings for her. I was scared to tell her at first, but decided to tell her just to see what she'd say. She told me she liked too and we started dating from there. Because she's my first ever girlfriend, I always feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I never know what I should and shouldn't do or say, given I'm a blunt person. Throughout our relationship, she's always made jokes about my hair. I'm a redhead and have what she calls 3C hair. I'd been growing out my hair since my freshman year of college. It took me a minute because I'd get bullied in elementary and high school for my hair, got called crazy names, told that I looked like a red bush or a chia pet. Basically, hair is a sensitive subject for me. A few weeks before college graduation, I was planning on having a friend of mine cut my hair. Nothing much, just an edge up. My girlfriend was over at my dorm and we were hanging out. She twirling my hair, joking about cutting it off. I didn't think anything of it and laughed at her. Then, I got sleepy and decided to take a nap. Big mistake. I woke up to her smiling at me weird with a plastic bag of hair in her hands. My hair. I yelled and started freaking out. I ran to the mirror and yep, all my hair was gone. She cut it all off. She laughed and said she pulled a Delilah on me, Samson, Bible joke. I was really angry, but I didn't want to blow at her. I took a deep breath and asked her to leave. She started screaming at me, saying I couldn't possibly be that fragile. I broke up with her, right there, and again asked her to leave. She was furious, but left. I'm very hurt by what she did, but I'm thinking I may have jumped the gun. Did I overreact? What should I do? Thoughts? Stories number 15. I, 24F, just broke off my engagement with fiancé, 26M, because he told me he wasn't ready when proposing. We're going to therapy, but I feel like I gave up already. Help. Hi, so I, 24F, and my fiancé, 26M, have been together for 6 years, living together for 2 years, and engaged for 1 year and 2 months. We've been a really cool couple, same sense of humor, we have common interests, we enjoy the same things, we're basically one person at this point. I thought we had great communication, turns out I was wrong. The one thing is I feel like his mother, he takes no initiative, he doesn't initiate physical contact, not even mentioning sex here, but it's a bigger problem. No initiative makes me feel really unattractive, he won't ask me out for dates, won't hug me or cuddle with me until I ask. So I do it all, I arrange dates, I try to get closer, to communicate more, I decide what we do and where we go out etc. Basically, he comes home from work, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day, takes out his laptop and just does whatever, probably just plays games. Then we fold laundry while watching a TV show and go to sleep. Pretty much just living like flatmates, or like a very old married couple. I tried to talk to him about it, but he'd always say he'll try to do better, and he would for 2 to 3 months. Then things would go back to what it was. But here's what broke me, on Monday I started the conversation again, tried to get him to act and get us couple counseling. Well, we started talking about how he never mentioned getting married since the proposal. I've started looking for wedding venues, I drove us to one and suggested we book it, he said he'd rather see more before making a decision, I asked him to look for something and we can go check it out, he admitted now that he didn't even Google that since September and he basically told me he proposed because he felt like I wanted it, while he wasn't 100% ready. I took the ring off, saying it feels like a lie, because it meant something different to him than to me. And, he took it, said, I promise you I'll give it to you when I'm ready, so he wasn't ready 14 months ago, during those months nothing changed and he still isn't ready to be engaged. I've loved this man for 6 years, but now it turns out he proposed because he had to, still had doubts and let me look for wedding stuff, create Pinterest boards, make guest lists while knowing it's all built on a lie. It feels like I proposed to myself while he just stood by and watched. We have couples therapy today, just like he booked it on Monday, but now I have no idea what to do. I agreed because I wanted us to work out the initiative thing, but that was before I found out he didn't really want to be engaged. I'm going there today and I feel like I'm lying to him, because I don't think I can continue this relationship after what he did. He's trying hard to take initiative again and be closer to me, but it feels like it's too late. How can I handle this? I'm giving him hope with this therapy while considering to break things off because of the engagement thing. Can I forgive this and move on? Top comment. Commenter 1. Don't help trust your gut. If after 6 years together he's not ready to make you his partner for life, he may never be. And you'll be waiting around for nothing. He already told you how he felt. And at that point, while I can absolutely see his argument about being too young, he lacks the balls to have an honest discussion with you about timelines. Update. I figured I'd post an update to this. I read many comments and they really helped me. Thank you for sharing your experiences that opened my eyes. So yeah, TLDR, he wasn't ready when proposing. He won't admit it, but I'm pretty sure it was a shut up ring, which is sad, because I never really cared about marriage in the first place. Now, we went to therapy. I said the same things as I've written in the previous post. He struggled to answer any questions, didn't really say anything that he hadn't before. Therapist suggested we could try living separately, but I think she could tell we're going to break up soon, lol. I took a few days to think, but finally broke up with him about a week after writing the first post, and it kinda broke me to see his reaction. At first, he was really dramatic, constantly tried to make himself the victim, something about us being a ship that's sinking, I'm about to jump and give up, but he's still holding on tightly, accused me of not giving him the chance now that he actually wants to do something and change. I had to remind him a few times that he's the one who broke my heart first. He lied for months and took the ring back. Then more dramatics, crying, etc. But the next day everything was normal. He was behaving like nothing happened, no more fighting for this relationship or even being hurt. He said, we're going to be good friends, and acted like nothing's happened. Over the next few days, I would occasionally get comments like, if anyone asks what happened, I can't say we broke up, I have to say you broke my heart and left me, or, at least you stopped pretending you love me. Other than that, no crying, no arguments, he was acting as per usual. It just broke my heart, again, to see how he didn't even try, that he really didn't care much. Shouldn't be surprised, really, yet here we are. I asked him 3 times to move out, gave him a deadline of 2 weeks, so 3 weeks since he took the ring back. He acted hurt, said, wow, I didn't expect you'd want to get rid of me so soon, but didn't really start looking. You know what actually made him get a flat and leave? My parents telling him to fuck off, because he lived here in their home this whole time, without paying any bills. They took him in like a son. They told him to pack his shit and never come back. Since then he's been acting offended that they treated him like that, and he had to leave. He moved out yesterday. I helped him with moving. I'm on my own now, after 5 years with that one man. Knew you knew me, I guess. But yeah, thanks to everyone who commented and read my story. NGL, I would love some encouragement. It feels like a part has been ripped from me. I need to know this feeling will go away. P.S. He found the first post and read the comments. He wanted to post his own comment to show his side of things, thankfully gave up, lol. Stories number 16. I, 30F, found out my husband, 32M, hired my friend, 26F, to strip at his bachelor party. 4 years ago I got married to my husband after dating for 6 years, so 10 years total now. My friend, Rebecca, has stripped since she was 21. She stopped last year after getting married and is going to be a som when her baby is born. Since our children, we're very close and we're basically neighbors. She lives at the bottom of the road we live on. Last week one of my husband's friends visited at the same time as Rebecca, as I had made plans to shop with her. I forgot to cancel and she showed up. After she left, my husband's friend commented that he can't believe we're still friends after the bachelor party. When I asked my husband what his friend meant, he refused to comment, and we got into a huge fight over it when he told me Rebecca had been the stripper at his bachelor party. I texted Rebecca in the moment that I don't want her around anymore, but she hasn't responded in a week. I feel betrayed by the both of them, but I know it was just her job. I miss Rebecca a lot, but I'm so hurt. I don't know what to do. Update. I, 30F, found out my husband, 32M, hired my friend, 26F, to strip at his bachelor party. TLDR, last post I found out my husband had actually hired strippers for his bachelor party. Not only that, but he had gone out of his way to hire Rebecca, a close friend, and they hid this for 4 years. Is it too soon to update? I confronted them both, separately. They both gave 2 very different stories. Rebecca says that my husband got drunk, groped her, and when she refused he pushed her and started to yell at her. Apparently my husband and his friends believe I shouldn't be friends with her because she lead them on. My husband says that they didn't sleep together, but Rebecca tried to initiate and performed oral while he was blackout drunk. I'm staying with my parents because I don't know who to believe here, or if I should even believe either of them. All I've done is argue with my husband since the confession. I'm left more confused than ever, and honestly, I just want to say F the both of them. But if my husband's story is true, then he's totally innocent. But what if Rebecca is telling the truth? What if neither of them are? I'm sick of them both. I haven't stopped crying since arriving at my mother's, to be honest, and I don't think I can. Why would he hide this for 4 years? Why would she? If they both believe they're fully innocent victims here. My husband is a mean drunk, but but he's always so soft-spoken and I don't know if he can do those things Rebecca claimed, but I don't know how he reacts around his friends, but I've known him longer than Rebecca too. But I'm all for believing women. I feel like by agreeing with my husband I'm denying Rebecca's story side. Last update. I, 30F, found out my husband, 32M, hired my friend, 26F, to strip at his bachelor party. I realized I don't care anymore. I have done nothing but think about my husband throughout our marriage. My entire life has revolved around him, all my thoughts revolved around him, and I've finally realized I've been the only one keeping this marriage going. I've been relying on him and forgiving him for such a lot of bullshit because I don't have anyone else. I gave him everything and that's not happening anymore. Maybe finding out about Rebecca just sped things up. Maybe I relied too heavily on my husband. I told him this morning that it's over. He has yet to stop texting me begging for a chance. I texted Rebecca and told her I no longer want her in my life either. Both have confessed to sleeping together and continuing to do so, my husband out of anger to insult me and maybe Rebecca wanted a last fuck you. Rebecca's baby is my husband's, so to say fuck you back I messaged her partner to let him know. I'm devastated, obviously, but now we have to make plans about what's happening with the house custody and I can't afford to continue crying about it. Rebecca's partner let me know at 6 p.m. that she has moved. He helped her move all of her stuff into my husband's house. It's all happened so fast and I can't believe I was so oblivious to it. Maybe I wanted to be. Once again, thanks for all the comments and messages, it's really made me open my eyes. It's all happened so fast that I don't have time to process it all. Looks like they wanted me to find out before she gave birth. A nice happy family now. Stories number 17. Aita for leaving my husband alone in the ER overnight after he got drunk and hurt himself at a wedding. I, 29F, and my husband, 31M, have been married for 3 years. No kids, just us. Last weekend, we traveled out of state for his cousin's wedding. It was a big event with a lot of his extended family there, including cousins he doesn't see often. Now, my husband likes to drink. He's always been a social drinker, and I don't mind that in moderation, but at the reception, he went way overboard. I saw him doing shots with his cousins, glass after glass, while I was trying to pace myself since we had to catch an Uber back to our Airbnb later. I told him to slow down, more than once, and he brushed me off every time, saying, "It's just one night, and, relax, I'm having fun." Fast forward to the end of the night, and we're standing outside the venue waiting for our Uber when he trips over a curb and faceplants into the pavement. Blood everywhere. I rush over and he's slurring, trying to laugh it off while I'm panicking. Paramedics were called, and even they had trouble getting him to cooperate. He refused stitches, yelled at the EMTs, and kept swatting their hands away. Once we got to the ER, things didn't get better. He was loud, belligerent, swearing at nurses, pulling out his just a complete mess. Eventually, security had to come in and restrain him. They ended up sedating him so they could stitch the gash on his forehead and run some tests. By then, it was already 2 a.m. I'd been dealing with this chaos for hours. I was embarrassed, exhausted, and frankly, just angry. Angry that he ignored my warnings. Angry that I had to manage everything. Angry that he was treating the staff so badly. The nurse told me they were going to admit him overnight for observation and that I didn't need to stay unless I wanted to. So I left. I got an Uber, went back to our Airbnb, showered, and collapsed into bed. Around 7 a.m., I woke up to a flood of texts and missed calls from his mom and sister, who weren't even at the hospital, by the way, saying I was heartless for leaving him alone. That I should have stayed in case something went wrong. That he's my husband and I abandoned him in a vulnerable state. He's fine now. The doctors discharged him with a bandage, some pain meds, and a massive hangover. But now I'm getting the cold shoulder from his side of the family, and even my husband seems a little distant. He hasn't said anything directly, but I can tell he's stewing. I'm torn. Part of me feels bad. I get that it's not ideal to leave your spouse in the ER. But another part of me feels like I had every right to go home, especially given how awful he was acting. I didn't abandon him, I trusted the medical staff, and I needed to take care of myself too. So, Aita for leaving him overnight instead of staying by his side. Would love some outside perspectives. Update, Aita for leaving my husband in the ER overnight after he got drunk and injured himself at a wedding. Wow, thank you all for the comments, support, and even the criticisms. I read every single one of them, and it really helped me get some clarity. So here's what's happened since I posted. The morning after, when my husband came back to the Airbnb, he was quiet. I'd made him a glass of water, put a couple ibuprofen on the nightstand, and laid out a clean shirt since his was bloodstained. He didn't say much other than, "Thanks." He looked completely wrecked, bruised, stitched, and probably emotionally hangover too. We had to leave that afternoon to catch our flight home. The car ride to the airport was silent for the most part. His mom texted him something like, "At least you're okay." Can't believe she left you. He didn't respond to her, but I saw it flash on his phone. When we got home, things stayed cold. He wasn't mean, but he was distant. And I was still simmering under the surface with a lot of unresolved feelings. So the next night, I sat him down and we talked. Not just about the ER night, but about everything that led up to it. The conversation. I told him how stressful that night was. How helpless and embarrassed I felt watching him curse at the EMTs and nurses. How I felt like I was his babysitter instead of his wife. I told him the ER wasn't just about him being hurt, it was the culmination of how I've been feeling for months, like he doesn't take responsibility for himself when it really matters. And yes, I told him I left because I needed space, not because I didn't care. I made sure he was safe, I confirmed with medical staff he was being admitted, and I left, because I was at a breaking point. At first, he just sat there. But then, he got emotional. And I mean really emotional. He apologized, sincerely, and admitted that he remembered flashes of what happened but not the full extent. He said he'd been avoiding talking about it because he was ashamed, not angry. He also confessed that drinking with his family often becomes a competition, who can outdrink who, and that it's something he's been doing since his early 20s without thinking twice. But he agreed that it's time to stop treating alcohol like it's a sport, especially now that we're getting older and talking about starting a family. What's happening now? Since that talk, we've both taken some steps. He hasn't had a drink in almost 2 weeks. He agreed to go to therapy, not just for the drinking, but for his underlying issues around anger and emotional regulation when he's drunk. He also personally reached out to the ER staff, the hospital has a patient feedback system, and sent a formal apology. That was 100% his decision. I was genuinely impressed. As for his mom and sister, that's trickier. They both think I overreacted and are kind of pretending it never happened, which is frustrating. But my husband backed me up, and for now, I'm keeping my distance. Boundaries are going to be important with them moving forward. Where I stand, do I regret leaving that night? No. I regret that the situation happened, but I don't regret doing what I needed to do to stay sane and safe. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't neglectful. I removed myself from a volatile situation after ensuring my partner was being cared for by professionals. Do I still love my husband? Yes, deeply. But this situation was a major wake-up call for both of us. Final thoughts. Sometimes the, in sickness and in health, part of marriage looks different than you expect. Sometimes it means sitting by someone's side in the ER. Other times it means walking away for the night so you don't lose yourself trying to hold someone together. To anyone in a relationship where you're constantly forced to be the adult, I see you. And to those who told me I wasn't the villain here, thank you. I needed to hear that. We're not perfect, but we're trying, and for now, that's enough. Stories number 18. Aita for telling my girlfriend I don't want to go to the grocery store after a 12-hour shift. I, 29M, work long, exhausting 12-hour shifts. My girlfriend, 27F, works significantly shorter shifts, typically 8 hours, sometimes as little as 4 if she gets flexed early. It's not something I resent at all, it's just the reality of our work schedules. What's been bothering me lately, though, is that at least once a week, sometimes more, she'll ask me to stop by the grocery store on my way home from work. It's always something small, a bottle of kombucha, which only she drinks, a 6-pack of beer, Diet Coke, or a snack she forgot. Usually, she's already been to the store that day herself and just forgot something. Now, I love helping her out. I really do. But after a 12-hour shift, the last thing I want to do is battle the crowds at a grocery store for 1 or 2 things that could have easily been picked up earlier. I leave before she does. I get home after her. I have only a couple hours left in my day to unwind, eat, and maybe watch a little TV before I pass out and do it all over again. So recently, I started telling her, no, I told her I'm too tired, and I'd rather come straight home. But now she's making me feel like I'm the bad guy, like I'm being difficult or selfish for refusing to run a quick errand for her. I don't think she realizes how draining my schedule is. It's not just about picking something up, it's about constantly being expected to do more, even after I've given my all for 12 hours. And honestly, I'm starting to feel like she's not respecting my time or energy. So, Reddit. Aita for finally saying no. Update, Aita for telling my girlfriend I don't want to go to the grocery store after work. Thanks for all the feedback, seriously. Reading the responses helped me realize I wasn't being selfish for setting a boundary, I was just tired and needed my partner to understand that. So, here's what happened after I made the original post. A couple of nights ago, after another long shift, I came home and found her in kind of a weird mood. Not mad exactly, just off. I finally asked what was going on, and she hit me with, "You've been distant lately. And I don't get why stopping at the store is such a big deal. It's like a 5-minute thing." I took a breath and told her everything, how I feel at the end of a 12-hour shift, how little time I have to decompress, and how it's not just about the errand. It's about feeling like my needs or limits aren't being considered. That when she forgets something at the store, I end up being the backup plan. She sat with it for a minute and then said, "I guess I didn't really think about it that way. I figured you wouldn't mind because you're always so calm about everything." That hit me harder than I expected. I realized part of this problem was that I've always been chill and accommodating. So when I finally say no, it feels like a bigger deal than it is, not just to her, but to me too. She apologized. Said she'd try to be more mindful and make more complete grocery runs. She also offered to do something nice for me on my next day off. She even said she'd grab my favorite snacks for a change. It wasn't a perfect conversation, but it felt productive. I think she understood that I wasn't being petty or trying to pick a fight. I was just tired, and trying not to burn out. We're good now, and I think we'll be better moving forward. Boundaries aren't rejection. They're just part of being in a grown-up relationship. Stories number 19. My BF, 23, wants me, 21F, to cut off my gym partner M23. For context, I'm a power lifter, and anyone who knows about this sport is that it's group-oriented and you end up training in groups of people many times. As for me, I usually train in a smallish powerlifting gym where everyone knows everyone, so we tend to all show up at the same time so we can help each other out. Now this is where the issue comes in. One of the guys I train with, let's call him James, is a tall black man. I describe him as this because it matters to the story, and me and my BF are both white. One thing about James is that he's an attractive guy even though I'm not attracted to him. He's not my type. There has been several times where my girlfriends have asked me if he's single and if I would introduce them to him. So one day me and my BF were in bed together when an Instagram DM came up on my phone from another friend of mine swiping up on my story asking me, "Who's that?" Because earlier I tagged James in a story post I made. I laughed to my BF and said, "Oh look, it happened again." My BF had an awkward laugh and I questioned him on it because recently he's been acting weird anytime I go to the gym, asking me who's gonna be there or straight up if James is there. He then asked me if I have ever been with a black guy before because his friends have recently been making jokes about his girl getting took by one. I literally had no idea how to react because 1, he is my first relationship and he knows this, and 2, he knows that me and James only talk in the gym or very minimally about gym stuff, that's it. He then starts to describe James in a weird way and asks me how I'm not attracted to that, then starts to accuse me of lying to him to make him feel better. I keep trying to defend myself but he cuts me off and asks me to stop training with him, stop talking to him if you see him in the gym. I told him I'm not gonna make the entire gym awkward and cut of a friend because of his friend's weird accusations. He then says that my refusal to cut James off is proof that something is there and has been giving me the silent treatment ever since. I'm seriously racking my brain trying to figure out what is going on and figure out what I want to do, as if it really comes down to it I'll cut James off because I love my boyfriend, but I seriously think this entire situation is insane. What should I do? Edit. Okay, want to clear a few things up because there has been a bit of a misunderstanding. Me and James aren't close. We've had handful of conversations outside of the gym and we don't talk on social media, and when we do it's about competitions coming up or who we are competing against. I didn't post James on my story. I was hitting a heavy single on squats and had 3 spotters. James was one of them, so I tagged him as well as the other 2 people spotting me as well as the gym itself, which is extremely common in the community. I mentioned James' features because it was something that my BF as well as his friends kept bringing up. They made several jokes about him taking me because he was black, and that's why my BF brought this up. Update 2. So I managed to get my BF to explain his issue with James. Turns out one of his friends, let's call him Mark, liked one of my friends. Said friend was one of the people who asked me if James was seeing, and they have been hooking up or something, and because of this my BF friend group started to poke fun at Mark that he was too slow, and Mark for some reason switched it on my BF and said, "Well, you're next," and for some reason my BF decided to take what Mark said to heart and started rethinking my friendship with James. What's even more confusing is that the friend that James is hooking up with isn't even white, she's Asian, so how they came to this conclusion is absolutely beyond me. The race comments questions were made by his friends, but my BF repeated them and he told me that his friends say that they're seen this same scenario happen before, as in, black guy steals white guy's GF. I had to hold back because I wanted to just smack my BF in the dead, because what the actual fuck kind of reasoning is that? I started to go off on him, which resulted in him and saying he was just getting in his head and that he knows that I would never hurt him like that and he was overthinking everything. We are fine for now, but I asked him to seriously consider who he is friends with and what they are telling him, because none of this is okay and that normal people don't think like this. And because I want to clear it up again, when I say in training with James, the first mean he's in the area that 6 to 8 other people are in, sharing equipment and helping each other out. We haven't never trained or worked out one-on-one and his friends have never seen us interact with each other. My on the other hand has, and when they did train together they were nothing but giggles, which made this situation all the more confusing. Stories number 20. I wish certain groups of teens would stop ruining everything for everyone. You know, I don't usually post things like this. I try to stay level-headed. I've worked in retail, dealt with people of all kinds, and I like to think I've learned how to pick my battles. But this has just been eating at me all week. I'm in my late 20s. Not ancient by any stretch, but old enough to have watched the world shift a little, especially when it comes to how young people behave in public spaces. And I'm not talking about kids these days in the generic sense. I mean certain groups, the loud, aimless, often rude packs of teens who seem to think public spaces are their personal playgrounds, no matter who's around. Let me explain. Last weekend, I went to visit my parents. They live in a quieter town than I do, small local shops, a couple of fast food joints, a dollar store, and this old-fashioned ice cream stand that's been around forever. You know the kind. A little walk-up window, chalkboard menus, picnic tables out back. It's one of the few places around that still feels safe. Familiar. Peaceful. It was around 8 p.m. My mom, my dad, and I had just finished dinner and decided to treat ourselves. It had been a rough week, especially for my dad. He was recently diagnosed with Parkinson's, and every day is starting to feel like a new kind of reality for all of us. But this night, we wanted to just enjoy something sweet, be outside, and feel normal. We got our ice cream, my mom got her usual soft-serve swirl, my dad ordered a root beer float, and I got a peanut butter cup sundae. We found a table in the back, under the glow of the string lights. It was quiet, just the sound of summer insects and the hum of the highway a few blocks away, until it wasn't. From the McDonald's across the parking lot, a group of teens came spilling out. Maybe 6 or 7 of them. Loud. Screaming, laughing way too hard at nothing, slapping each other, chucking wrappers into the wind. At first, I tried not to react. I reminded myself, they're kids. Let them be. They'll move on, but they didn't. They cut across the parking lot, stomping over to the dollar store next to the ice cream stand. The place was closed, lights off, and the "closed" sign literally hanging in the window. But that didn't stop them from banging on the door like they expected someone to magically appear. One of them even kicked the glass. Then they started filming each other, Snapchat, maybe TikTok. One girl tried to climb onto a shopping cart and screamed when she fell off. It wasn't just annoying, it was unsettling. And then, they turned their attention toward us. They wandered over toward the picnic tables. We were the only ones sitting outside at that point. One of them stood just feet from my dad. I mean close. In his space. Not saying anything. Just watching him. Another pulled out his phone and started filming, or pretending to. I froze. My mom stiffened, gripping her cup. My dad tried to ignore them, but he was visibly uncomfortable. I could see it in his shoulders, the way he was shrinking into himself. And maybe these teens thought it was funny. Maybe they thought they were being edgy or ironic or whatever. But to me, they were crossing a line, so I stared at them. Hard. I slowly reached into my pocket. Honestly, I had nothing in there but my car keys. But I wanted them to think I had something. Pepper spray, maybe. Or the kind of confidence that says, not today. It worked. They slowly backed off, still laughing, still glancing back at us like we were the weird ones. But eventually, they disappeared. More people started arriving, families, couples, someone walking their dog. The vibe returned to normal, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. What would they have done if we weren't there? What if my dad had been alone? Or if they thought it would be funny to shove him or say something cruel? He's dealing with so much already. It's hard enough watching someone you love slowly lose control of their own body, to see his hands shake when he's trying to hold his drink, to hear the hesitation in his voice when he tells a story. He used to be strong. Proud. And now? I just wanted to give him one good night, but they almost ruined it. And the saddest part? This kind of thing isn't rare anymore. Malls are banning unsupervised minors. Movie theaters have curfews. Stores are locking up candy and makeup because of constant theft. It's like a few groups of teenagers are out here trashing every public place and we're all paying the price for it. I know, not all teens are like this. I've met plenty who are respectful, hardworking, and thoughtful. But I'm tired of pretending like this behavior is harmless. It's not. It's aggressive. It's exhausting. And it's pushing people like my parents out of the very spaces that once brought them joy. So yeah, I'm angry. I miss when going to the ice cream stand felt safe. When you could sit at a picnic table under string lights and just be, without having to scan your surroundings, ready to defend the people you love with a pair of car keys and a death stare. I just want that peace back for me. For my mom, especially for my dad. After they left, my mom sat quietly for a while. She'd barely touched her ice cream. My dad gave a small smile like he always does when he's trying to reassure us, but I could tell he was embarrassed. Not just because of the teens, but because I had to stand up for him. And I hate that. I hate that the man who used to lift me onto his shoulders to watch fireworks now needs someone to protect him from a bunch of kids with cell phones. I'm sorry about that, I finally said. I don't even know why, it wasn't my fault. But my dad just nodded, and then he looked at me and said, "It's not your job to fix the world, kiddo. Just don't let it harden you." I didn't know how to respond. Because honestly, I am getting hardened. And I don't want to be. I want to keep believing that people, even obnoxious teenagers, can still grow up and learn empathy. I want to believe that public spaces can be shared, and that we don't have to build rules and bans around the worst behaved among us. But I also know that if we don't speak up, if we don't say something, it just keeps happening. And honestly, I don't think it should be up to parents and elderly people to constantly endure that kind of disrespect, or worry about whether a simple night out might turn into something hostile. We ended up finishing our treats in the car. The laughter had faded, the tension lingered. We drove home in near silence, headlights sweeping through the dark streets of a town that used to feel so different. Before I left for home the next morning, my dad gave me a long hug. Not one of those quick, casual hugs, a long one. The kind that says things without needing to say them. I asked him if he still wanted to go to the ice cream stand again next week like he usually does. He smiled, a little smaller this time, and said, "Maybe we'll try the drive-thru next time." That hurt more than anything. Stories number 21. My MIL showed up unannounced to our new house, got mad she didn't get the master bedroom. So last week, my husband 34M and I 32F moved into our newly bought home. It's a 3-bedroom place we are really proud of. It's been a long time coming and we were excited to finally settle in. My MIL showed up unannounced. No call, no text, no heads up. Just rang the doorbell with her bag in hand. I opened the door and, trying to stay polite, told her, "Hi, you should have let us know you were coming. It would have helped us prepare." She waved it off like it was nothing, saying, "That wasn't necessary. I'm family, I can come anytime." When I showed her to the guest room and told her she could get settled in there, she looked around and said, "Why the guest room? Why not one of the master rooms? After all, I'm not a guest, I'm family and should be treated as such." I was stunned. I told her, "This is our home. The master bedrooms are for my husband and me. The guest room is comfortable and was prepared for anyone visiting family." She frowned, didn't say much else, and barely spoke to me the rest of the evening. The next morning, she left without saying goodbye. She told my husband's siblings that I treated her like a total stranger. Stories number 22. Aita for filing restraining orders on a pair of missionaries. I used to be, technically still am, a member of the LDS Mormon Church. I've tried to get my records removed but it's gone nowhere and I still get members and missionaries showing up to my house, even when I moved. Well, in the past 2 months I have been visited once a week by the same pair of missionaries along with one of my male cousins. They can't visit a single lady unless another male is with them. I tell them each week to stop visiting and tell whichever cousin they bring that it's not welcome, necessary, or funny and they really need to stop. Well, they came over last Saturday while I was having a barbecue with some friends and coworkers and they just started mingling, preaching to my guests. I didn't even realize they were because I was on the grill, until one of my coworkers came up to me and basically complained about me inviting him to a barbecue as an excuse to get my church members to preach to him and his boyfriend. I had to apologize and explain to him the situation and promise it wasn't like that at all. I decided I was done. They didn't even try to find me, they just harassed my guests and came into my property uninvited, so I called the police. They showed and said they can ask them to leave but can't really do anything else since I didn't ask them to leave myself first. So I showed them my ring footage and how I've been asking them to stop coming to my house for 2 months and they said I could file a restraining order for stalking but it might not go anywhere, so they walked me through the online forms and I have a hearing soon. Since then the church members have sent me emails, their youth have heart attacked my door porch, and my LDS family have made FB posts about me being the literal devil. With the hearing getting closer I'm starting to feel nervous, and like maybe I've blown everything out of proportion. Like these missionaries are still teens, and maybe I should be redirecting my anger at my family who are probably the ones behind it. Aita, if I go through with the hearing. Edit. Well, it's been 2 hours and I think I've gotten enough advice and encouragement to help me. Thank you all. I will go to the hearing still. You are right, if they weren't missionaries I wouldn't even be questioning it. I will be messaging my coworkers and apologizing and letting them know about the RO hearing, and I will be going LC with my LDS family. And for those that asked, heart attacking is taping paper hearts with Book of Mormon and Bible quotes and little, I miss you, notes to people's front door windows porches. I have also been told that it's literally love bombing, which I never noticed before. So that's cool, thanks again, I probably won't log back in since this is a throwaway account. TLDR, missionaries stopped by once a week for 2 months even though I told them to stop. They crash a barbecue of mine so I filed a restraining order. My family and old church members have started to guilt me saying they're just teens and doing what they traveled here to do and it's kind of working. Am I being a pushover? Comments. Commenter 1. Until one of my coworkers came up to me and basically complained about me inviting him to a barbecue as an excuse to get my church members to preach to him and his boyfriend. NTA, they could have gotten you fired. Go to the hearing. Reply, I didn't even think of that. Luckily he was cool about it after I explained the situation, but what if he didn't come to me and just left instead? That's making me really mad now that I think about it. Commenter 2. Just because you think he was cool about it after your explanation, doesn't mean this incident didn't make him totally change his perception of you as a coworker and a person. And what about other coworkers who were just as upset but didn't say anything? I think you have deeply underestimated the lasting effect this will have on your relationship with your coworkers and your job. If I were one of your coworkers, this type of thing would have actually caused me to leave your barbecue and would have permanently damaged our working relationship. Reply, oh gosh, I didn't think about that either. There were a couple that didn't show up, but what if they did and saw the missionaries and just noped out? Commenter 3. And what about your non-LDS friends at the barbecue? They may have had an unpleasant experience, as well. You may have some repair work you need to do with them. Reply, a lot of them know I don't go to that church anymore and were there when the police showed up, so we were able to talk about it at the barbecue. I'm mostly worried about my coworkers. Commenter 4. After your hearing, you could send an email update to the coworkers who were invited there to let them know the follow-up of your actions, underlining how seriously you took the intrusion. Commenter 5. NTA, get the restraining order. Block everyone harassing you online, hopefully the stuff at your house is on your door camera, send all footage to your lawyer or court point of contact. They have escalated their behavior, so you definitely need the order, if they'd just given up you might have dropped it. If regular teens were repeatedly vandalizing your house, you take appropriate steps, don't let their religion get in the way. You deserve peace. Please don't feel guilty, they brought it on themselves. Update. Hello, all I said that I wouldn't be logging in again, but these last 2 months have been very draining for me and I thought writing everything down and putting my feelings out might make me feel better. So here's an update. 2 days before the hearing, my uncle, who is also the ward bishop for the elders, showed up to my house with the missionaries. I took the advice on my post and only spoke with them through my Ring app. I told them if they didn't leave I would call the police. One elder left to sit in the car and my uncle and the other elder stayed at my door. My uncle told me that I was being dramatic and that I'm too sensitive. That me, protecting my safe space, was going to ruin a young man's life. I told them that I put in a request for a RO and that they knew this and were still harass me. My uncle said they weren't going to leave until I came out and talked to them like an adult so we could solve this restraining order issue without the courts. I told them to leave again and I called the police when it was obvious they weren't going to. The cops showed up and trespassed my uncle and arrested the missionary that did not go to the car. I explained to them about the hearing that was going to happen and showed them my footage of them trying to get me to not go to the hearing. I felt really bad and I still do, and I know a lot of you are going to say I shouldn't, but I do. I spent the 2 days after that getting calls and texts from people I love calling me all sorts of terrible things and telling me I'm a disappointment. The guy I've been talking to had to take my phone away from me and block everyone because he knew I wouldn't. I went to the hearing and was granted the RO for harassment. Then I had my mom and dad show up to my house the next day to give me a piece of their mind and now I hate myself. So that's great. I sent the paperwork to the mission president and asked to be put on the do not contact list like a commenter told me to do. I was told that the missionary that was arrested had his visa revoked so they are sending him back home early. I was basically told if anything happens to him before they can get him a flight home it's my fault. People have posted about me getting innocent men into trouble and wanting my own kind deported on social media. Even though he wasn't deported, his visa was just revoked. So I've had my house egged, rocks thrown at my windows, and ice bags left on my porch for the last month. Even some of my friends and co-workers who told me to go through with the RO are saying I went too far. But I didn't know he was here on a visa. As far as I know, he's back home and safe. But that's it, that's the update. My friends, family, and co-workers hates me and I hate myself too. But hey, at least I'm not minorly inconvenienced by missionaries and awkward 5 minutes conversations anymore. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Leaving this cult is brave of you and you're doing everything right. I'm fucking proud of you. We support you. Do not back down. You got this. NTA whatsoever. Commenter 2. No, stop that shit right fucking now. Your family are shit bags who don't deserve you and they weren't mildly inconveniencing you. They did this. Don't get despaired, get angry. Do something about this, god damn it. Anything. Commenter 3. NTA the church is required, by precedent, to remove you from the rolls. It also is a formal and legal way to state that the church has to quit sending missionaries and church members to your house. It's free, although they ask for donations. Furthermore, I recommend that you continue with your hearing, otherwise they'll keep bothering you. Stay strong. Reply, that's amazing, I've never heard of this. Thank you. Reply, this is the way. I'm also recently out of the church and was facing the exact same thing as you. The missionaries would come over all the time even when I asked them to quit coming. They got around this by having different missionaries come over. I would get emails from this person or that person, and when I would ask for them to stop they would give some stupid excuse like I was still listed on the records and they were using a distribution list in their system and there was nothing they could do to stop it. Also, it helps if you answer the door either in your underwear. A fellow XMO I know did this and specifically bought some banana hammock style men's underwear just for this, or have really loud porn playing in the background where they can't see it, but can clearly hear it even if it's just an audio file. Commenter 4. I'm laughing so hard at an image of Borat answering the door to Mormons in his green hammock swimsuit on with porn blaring in the background and him telling them something like, please ignore sexy sounds. That is my wife with her lovers. Commenter 5. NTA takes some balls to crash a person's private party to harass their guests. This site has info on getting your membership removed. Also a really good support board if you need someone to talk to. Stories number 23. Neighbor let his dog poop on my lawn daily, so I launched a neighborhood smear campaign. Literally and figuratively. This happened a couple years ago when I bought my first house in a chill little neighborhood. Everything was great except for one thing, my back neighbor, Rick. Rick's the kind of guy who owns 2 grills but no shirt, drinks Coors Light in the driveway at 10 a.m., and thinks property lines are just a suggestion. Rick also had this massive golden retriever named Duke. Duke was cool, friendly, but had a very specific habit. He loved to drop the nastiest logs right in the middle of my lawn. Not near the sidewalk. Not behind a tree. Dead center, like it was his sacred spot. Every damn day. First couple of times, I figured maybe Rick didn't realize it. So I walked over, super polite, and asked if he could maybe keep Duke on a leash or at least scoop the poop when it happened. Rick, wearing a tank top that said, Weekend Warrior, looks me dead in the eye and goes, it's all nature, bro. You don't own the earth. Oh, we're doing that. So I tried the normal stuff, patched the fence, put in a motion-activated sprinkler, even tried some citrus deterrent. Nothing worked. Rick actually laughed when he saw the sprinkler and said, nice try, but Duke's built different. Cool, I'm built different too. Here's where the revenge starts. I started collecting Duke's turds in a Home Depot bucket. Lined it with a trash bag, used a scoop, added a little water for aesthetic reasons. After about 2 weeks, I had something that looked like a cursed soup. One Saturday morning, while Rick was out, I took that bucket and painted the border of his yard. Sprinkled it like fairy dust right along his deck and around his precious fire pit area. He came out later that day, sniffed the air, and literally went, what the hell is that smell? I was sitting on my porch drinking coffee like, smells like nature, bro. But wait, it gets better. We have a neighborhood Facebook group. I started posting lost dog poop updates every time Duke hit my yard. Found, steaming hot dog present near my mailbox. If this belongs to you, please collect your property before it fossilizes. Thanks. Then I started putting up tiny little, do not poop here, signs made out of popsicle sticks and toothpicks, complete with glitter and googly eyes, all over the lawn. I made them in weird passive-aggressive haiku form. Dear Duke the Pooper, this is not your golden throne. My grass feels betrayed. Rick was not amused. He actually stormed over one day and yelled, are you trying to make me look bad? I just blinked and said, buddy, I don't need to try. After all that, the neighborhood fully turned on him. A couple other people came forward and said Duke had been leaving surprises in their yards too. Rick ended up having to build an actual fenced-in dog run and started walking Duke on a leash like a normal human. And me? I still make those little haiku signs for fun. TLDR, neighbor let his dog use my lawn as a toilet. I turned it into a public shaming campaign with poop-themed art and passive-aggressive poetry. He now walks his dog like a responsible adult. Victory smells like fresh-cut grass and not dog crap. Stories number 24. Aita for just walking away at the airport after my boyfriend made me miss another flight. We were supposed to catch an early morning flight for a short vacation. I booked everything, planned around his work schedule, even packed snacks. We get to the airport with time to spare, and he decides he's hungry and wants a real meal instead of grabbing something near the gate. I warned him we didn't have much time, but he brushed it off, saying it wouldn't take long. 20 minutes later, I'm pacing by the gate, and boarding is wrapping up. I keep calling, no answer. He shows up with a full tray of food, smiling like nothing's wrong. The gate's closed. Again. This is the third time he's made us miss a flight because he doesn't take timing seriously. I just lost it. I told him I was done and walked out of the airport. Now he's blowing up my messages saying I overreacted and left him stranded. My friends are split. Some say I should have waited, others say he needed a wake-up call. I feel a mix of guilt and relief. I just don't know if I crossed a line or finally drew one. Stories number 25. Aita for leaving my stepmom's lake house abruptly after she called my daughter a brat. Over the 4th of July, my wife and I visited my stepmom at her boyfriend's lake house with our 2 daughters, 7 and 6. The girls had been staying with them the week prior. On Saturday, my daughter and another girl asked to leave the lake early to play in the hot tub. My stepmom said no, and my daughter got upset and cried. The other girl then asked her, "What do you even like about her?" And my daughter said, "She has a new house and money." Not the most thoughtful thing to say, but she's 7, and the lake house had just undergone a big renovation. The other girl ran and told my stepmom what was said. My stepmom had been drinking all day and clearly took it personally. Later, I saw her walk up to my daughter, sitting quietly on the couch, get in her face, and say, "You make me so sad." I immediately stepped in, told her to stop, and sent my daughter out of the room. I told my stepmom not to talk to my kid like that, and we started arguing. I asked if we could speak privately. There were a dozen people in the room 10 feet away, but she refused and kept saying my daughter was spoiled and entitled, and that it was clear how we really felt about her. I told my wife we were leaving and went to pack. We had planned to stay until Sunday, but I didn't feel comfortable anymore. My wife supported me, even though I could tell she wasn't fully on board. While packing, my stepmom came upstairs still being defensive. We got into a shouting match. I told her I didn't care about her money and never wanted a dime from her. She kept bringing up how entitled my daughter was. She walked out, and I continued packing. As I was loading the car, her boyfriend came out and told me he didn't think we should come back. He said she was heartbroken, but I let him know I appreciated his hospitality. He hadn't been involved in the conflict at all. Before leaving, I asked my stepmom if she wanted to say goodbye to her granddaughters. She wouldn't speak or look at me. Later, she came outside and said goodbye to the girls. I told her I loved her, and she snapped, "You have a hell of a way of showing it." I doubt it. That started another argument. Her boyfriend confirmed he had said we shouldn't come back. When she asked if he was going to say goodbye to the girls, he's been in their lives since they were toddlers, he hesitated, then stuck his head in the car for a quick goodbye. She'd never act that way with his grandkids. We argued once more, and she ended up calling my daughter a brat. That was it. I said we were done and left without saying goodbye to anyone else in the house. TLDR, my 7-year-old made an offhand comment about my stepmom having money. Another kid repeated it. My stepmom, who had been drinking, confronted my daughter, called her a brat, and I decided to cut our trip short. I know this is just my side of things, but I'm still struggling with how it all went down. Stories number 26. Aita for not letting my niece stay with me. I, 40F, live in my 2-bedroom house with my daughter, 19F, and my 2 sisters who came from across the globe to visit me. As my daughter is back from college, our house is packed. 3 days ago at around 12 a.m., my niece, 21, knocked on my door. My niece has a 2-year-old daughter. She told me that she broke up with her boyfriend and needed a place to stay for the night. I took her in and offered her food. I made her share a bed with my daughter. My niece then told me that her boyfriend spent all his money by gambling it and they got evicted. I was confused by why she came to my house as her dad's, my brother's, house was a few blocks down my house. The morning came and my daughter asked me if this will be going for too long. My daughter is an only child and she likes her privacy. My niece was entering her room without knocking and letting her daughter play with my daughter's things. I called my brother and asked him if he will take her to his house. He said no, and it is the life she has chosen to live. For the days that she has lived with me I offered her food for her and her daughter. Yesterday night she told me that she is going to get her things from her friend's house. I told her that I can't let her stay anymore and to figure things out as I have to feed 6 mouths now. I told her I will be giving her some money so that she can afford food and shelter for a week, but it would be impossible for me to let her and her daughter stay with me. She got pretty furious at me and shouted that no one was there for her and left the house. I felt pretty bad. But my daughter is saying I shouldn't feel bad as my niece has both of her parents in her life and it isn't my duty to provide for her. I really wish I could do something for her, but the economy is terrible right now. Update. Hello everyone, I thought I might clear up things a bit and also tell you how things are going since I posted the story. My brother raised my niece alone after her mother remarried and gave him custody. He refused to remarry so that all his focus would be on raising my niece. She was allowed to date, and the one thing he warned her about was teenage pregnancy. At 16 my niece got pregnant and left the home without explaining anything to my brother. We searched for her everywhere and we found her on the street alone. She told us she ran away because she didn't want to disappoint her father. The baby didn't make it. Her father was mad, rightfully so, and told her to go back to her boyfriend. She pleaded and told him that this will be the last time it would happen, and he let her back again. Things started to go well for a while, but then she started going to school less and less. I pulled her alone and asked her what was wrong, and she said she wanted to work, not learn. Then she dropped out of school and just left the house again. This was 2 years ago. She went to live with her boyfriend, who was one of the troublemakers in our area. I asked her if she needed assistance with her child, but she declined and said her boyfriend provides a lavish life. Her father soon remarried and continued his life and disowned her. Now to their current situation. I asked my brother if he could take her in, and he shut me off by saying that he has no daughter and he wasted his life raising a troublemaker while her mother went and had more kids. Next, what I did was reach out to her mother. Her mother told me that she can't do anything about it as she has her own life now and my brother should take care of it as he is the one who raised her. I asked her if she could pitch in money for her rent and she refused. Then I asked my niece what her plan was and where she wants to go. She told me that she wants to move into my house. I explained to her that it was not possible as there is already 4 of us. She said she doesn't understand what the problem was as she can continue to sleep with my daughter. I told her the issue my daughter raised and I can't compromise that to let her stay. I also told her that I can't afford to feed her and her baby in this economy. I told her by the end of this week she has to move out. She nodded and asked me if her boyfriend can come to the house to check at their daughter. I told her I don't want him in my house and she can take her daughter to the park to meet with him. I also asked her if she is looking for a job and she said that she doesn't want to work and her job is to raise her daughter. Her boyfriend isn't working either, so I don't know what their source of income is. I also talked to my daughter about it and she said it was okay and she can tolerate it for a week as long as they don't enter her room during the day. This was the agreement we reached at. Edit: I forgot to include that when she left the house she was pregnant again with her now 2-year-old daughter. Stories number 27. Aita for telling my ex-husband baby mom that she didn't win anything in life. My ex and I are no longer together, thankfully. But we share a daughter. We already went through all the court battles for shared custody. Sharing custody can be good and bad, it's in between for me. John and I were married since 2017, had our daughter 2018. John had a baby mother, Kristen, before I knew him, but they were separated. He had a child when he was a teen. I didn't have a problem with him or his child when we started dating. From the time his baby mother found out we were dating she had some type of anger towards me. She even kept her child away from me because she didn't trust girls like me. I always ignored her insults because it felt one-sided. John and her had many arguments about it. Since you got the backstory, I'll say what happened recently. My daughter was with her dad this weekend and his son was also there too. I know this because I dropped her off. John usually picks her up, but I had to go somewhere so I dropped her off instead. Kristen was there when I arrived. John was giving her some flowers since her baby passed recently. I told my daughter bye and hugged John. From the corner of my eye Kristen gave me a stink faces. I went straight to my car. So the next day I was getting random messages, calls from some number. Even on my Instagram I was getting requests, fake pages. So I wanted to know who it was. I asked who it was. The person took 3 hours to respond and I was about to block and call quits but finally got a response. It was Kristen. I asked her how she got my number and she told me that's not important. At this point I was going along with it to see what else she had to say, just to screenshot. She told me I'm not special and will never be because John doesn't want me, so I should stay off him. All this over a man. She has a boyfriend but acts like this and it's crazy. It's never that serious to me. But she told me she had his first child and son, so my child will never amount to her child. Like, what the hell was her issue? I told her, cool, but don't think you're winning in life. Stories number 28. No wood for you. I had to have a tree cut down last week. An arborist advised us to do so because it had split. If it fallen there would be damages. It was huge. They counted over 90 rings. It was a beautiful silver maple. In our neighborhood, the backyards to homes share a fence or tree bush line. The guy across from me has a gravel drive where he parks his truck, boat, and RV. It goes all the way back to our mutual border. We were always on good terms, so I figured he would let the tree company use it for their bucket truck. He said no. He did not trust them to not do damage. They were bonded and I offered in writing to fix anything they broke. Still no. Okay. I brought over the backhoe and removed several bushes to make a road on one side. For labor cost, a friend who is a paving contractor brought over 20 steel plates to lay in my yard. His workers put them in place. I told my neighbor I would do that for his driveway. It helped. I will have to till and resod some, but most of my yard survived with little damage. His would have had none. Maybe needed a little gravel replaced. This company got it down, sawed into firewood-sized pieces except one section and the rest into a wood chipper. They were finished and gone in 3 hours. Today my grandson and friends came over with the wood splitter. We have a shelter near the side door that holds 2 cords of wood. There is a smaller one near the back door. We have enough wood there now to burn this summer in the fire pit on the patio. So every piece went in the dump truck and he took it to the farm so it can season. After they finished and I was raking up twigs, the guy asked if I was going to give him some wood. I had in the past. I just pointed at the pile and kept raking. He said, "Really?" I said, "Really," and more or less ignored him. I have plenty of wood at the farm and normally I would have asked him to pay the kids and they would cut and stack it for him. He could have gotten $3,000 plus worth of firewood for $300. Not today. My neighbor beside me helped with the bushes. They have a fireplace but only use it for romantic nights, lol. They know the 2 of them can come over and get all the wood they need. There is no fence between the houses, just the backyards. Out back it is my fence. I may get a new one. This one without a gate. I have a feeling our terms has changed. They are no longer good. I thought about having my son weld it shut, lol, but that would be way too passive-aggressive. Or, plant native wisteria. It is damp enough back there and in a couple years be partway up the other trees to give us even more privacy. There was a 7-foot section of the 4-foot thick tree that was solid. A buddy has a cabinet shop. He jumped on that, lol. It is at the sawmill now. I also saved 9 4-foot straight pieces that one day may become baseball bats. Another buddy is pretty good at that. I can honestly say. I feel petty as can be right now. I feel like going back over there now for a swim and maybe toast some marshmallows, but it is past midnight. I'm far too lazy for that, lol. Stories number 29. Passengers try to eat cabin crew food. All the time. When I was a flight attendant, one of the problems I used to face occasionally was passengers who would come in the galley while we were eating and ask for a portion of our meal, stating that they liked the looks of what we were eating more than what was being served. We would always explain that this was our personal food, not provided by the airline, and we were not allowed to share. On more than one occasion, they would whine and have to be sent to their seats. One flight in particular stands out. Miami to New York City. I had made pesto egg salad and was eating it with Parmesan crackers. Side salad of tomatoes, cucumbers, spinach, and celery. Side veggies were green beans amandine, and feta stuffed olives. I was really looking forward to my meal. I was working first class, and one of the other flight attendants and myself were eating in between food service and catching up with each other. Elderly entitled female passenger comes into the galley. EP, "Oh, I'll have that and you can have my lunch." Me, "I'm not allowed to share my food with passengers, and this is my food." EP, "I won't tell, and yours looks better." Me, "No." EP, "I'm telling the captain when we land." Me, "As you should." Passenger returns to seat, other flight attendant and I continue to eat our meals. Passenger returns, this time with their spouse. He looks very angry, as does she. EP, "My husband is an attorney. He says you can be sued because you were threatening me." Spouse, "You told her to sit the fuck down." Other flight attendant, "She most certainly did not." EP, "She did." Spouse, "When I'm done with you, I'll own this airline." Me, "You need to take your seats now." Spouse, "We won't." So I went and called the captain, right in front of them. He came out of the cockpit, wearing his hat and coat. "That's not good, Captain, you need to take your seats, leave my cabin crew and their meals alone." "Sir, where are you licensed to practice law?" Spouse, "I went to law school." Captain, "Great. Where are you licensed to practice law?" Spouse, Captain, where are you licensed to practice law?" Spouse, "I'm not." Captain, "So, if you lied about that, I can guess you lied about my crew cursing to your wife." Spouse, "Well, she said that the flight attendant wouldn't trade food." Captain, "I'm not hearing about cursing." EP, "She wouldn't share or trade." Captain, "I'll get to that. I want to address the cursing. Did she curse at you? Be careful how you answer." EP, she was really mean. Captain, so, you didn't like being told no. You thought by bringing your husband up here and getting him to lie as well that you would get what you want. You need to return to your seats, fasten your seatbelts, and stay seated until every other passenger is off this plane. Then, if you still want to, we will file a complaint. I am filing a report no matter what. You will never fly with us again. That is a fact. I won't have threats made against my cabin crew, but I love pesto. I love salad. I love olives. Captain, you can have all of that after you get off. You're not eating her meal. Take your seats now. They shuffled off to their seats. The captain turned on the seatbelt light. When we landed, the captain stood there, waiting for them to exit the aircraft. He stopped them. Captain, you need to stay here, you have that report I need to write. No, we changed our minds. Captain, I didn't change my mind. Have a seat right there, and we'll get this done. They sat, very quietly and meekly. When the plane was empty, he did complete a report, gathered their ID and spoke to our corporate headquarters right then. They were permanently banned from flying with us. This may seem like a lot to go through, but there were false allegations made, legal actions were threatened, and the husband misrepresented himself as an attorney. Then we have failure to comply with crew instructions, which is a very big deal. Stories number 30. I didn't invite my brother to my wedding because of his wife, and I don't regret it. My brother, 35M, married a woman who makes everything about herself. Every family gathering becomes a stage for her drama. She faked fainting at our cousin's engagement dinner because she didn't feel special. She screamed at my mom for not offering her a more flattering seat at Thanksgiving. She's exhausting. When I, 31F, got engaged, I made it clear that I wanted a low-stress, peaceful day. My fiancé agreed. We made a guest list and left my brother and his wife off of it. He called me a week after the invites went out and said, "Is this a mistake?" I told him it wasn't. He said I was destroying the family. I said, "She's been doing that for years." My parents are upset. They say I should have just tolerated her for one day. But one day can ruin everything, and I've watched her do it too many times. The wedding was last weekend. It was beautiful. Peaceful. Full of laughter. And I don't regret a thing. Stories number 31. Girlfriend's entitled friend wants me to pay for his dinner. Last Saturday night my girlfriend and I, 26F and 31M, went to have dinner and ran into one of her friends from high school and his girlfriend, 26M and F. From what I've gathered, they used to be close but drifted apart after graduation. Since my girlfriend and her friend hadn't seen each other in a long time, I suggested we all get a table together, and he and his girlfriend agreed. Whenever we go to a nice place, or eat something new, my girlfriend likes to take photos. It's not like she has a full photo shoot, she takes what? 10 seconds. It's not a big deal and it's something she likes, so I don't care. So when we got our food, my girlfriend took out her phone, and the other girl took hers out, too. The friend complained and made fun of her girlfriend, and tried to get me on his side, but I just said that it's not a big deal, that I like to see my girlfriend happy and waiting a few seconds before eating is nothing to complain about. I could tell that he didn't like me much after saying that, but I don't really care. I had a nice dinner with my girlfriend and she got to catch up with an old friend. Later that night, my girlfriend showed me her phone. After leaving the restaurant, her friend had an argument with his girlfriend over his comments during dinner, and he was blaming me. He told her that I owed him for the dinner. My girlfriend laughed at him. Stories number 32. I left my boyfriend of 4 years because he met up with my ex. I feel silly and quite desperate posting this. It's my first time reaching out on a forum, but I'm heartbroken and feel lost enough to seek guidance here. I've been with my boyfriend for 4 years. I love him deeply. Before that, I spent 10 years single after leaving an extremely abusive marriage. I chose to remain single to heal and focus solely on my children. My ex-husband didn't just hurt me, he destroyed my life, emotionally, mentally, and financially. It took me years to recover and rebuild. Today, we maintain a somewhat amicable relationship only because we co-parent. Recently, my boyfriend met my ex-husband. He knows everything about my past and how much pain that man caused me. But because my ex is charming, intelligent, and business-oriented, my boyfriend was very impressed by him. He's looking to start a new business and thought of him as a potential partner. I told him very clearly that I didn't want him to associate with my ex in any way. I set that boundary for my safety and peace of mind. But he went behind my back, met with him secretly, and lied to me about who he was meeting. When I confronted him, he admitted it, but instead of being truly sorry, he said he was relieved I found out, because he wanted to tell me but only lied because I would have been upset. That felt like pure gaslighting and deflection. A few days later, I was scheduled to meet my ex-husband. We meet occasionally in public places for co-parenting matters. My boyfriend insisted on tagging along. At the restaurant, I found out, in real time, how deep their business relationship had become. They had already met with people, made plans, brainstormed ideas, and were full steam ahead with their project, without ever telling me. What made it worse was seeing my boyfriend act like they were lifelong best friends. It was painful and honestly disturbing. During that lunch, my boyfriend even demanded that I help my ex-husband with paperwork for their business. I was furious. When we got home, everything unraveled. He couldn't understand why I was upset. He didn't see what was wrong with befriending the man who once abused and broke me and my children, so I broke up with him, and now I'm heartbroken, confused, angry. I don't even know how to process this. Am I overreacting? Would you consider this betrayal? Stories number 33. Bridesmaid wore the wrong dress, by accident, and didn't see the issue. So this isn't a full-on disaster, but it left a lot of us scratching our heads. My sister got married last weekend and everything actually went smoothly except for one slightly awkward moment. One of the bridesmaids, Emily, showed up in the wrong dress. The bridesmaids were supposed to wear a specific sage green dress from a particular shop. Emily showed up in a completely different green, forest green, way darker, different cut, and noticeably flashier. When we asked her about it, she just shrugged and said she thought this one was close enough and that she'd lost the email with the link. My sister was obviously stressed but didn't want to cause a scene, so she let it go. But afterward, Emily was acting like nothing happened, even commenting on how good she looked in group pics and tagging the bride. Like, maybe it was an honest mistake, but she had months to ask for the info again if she lost it. The bride didn't say much, but I could tell she was a little bummed in private. Just felt weird that Emily didn't even try to apologize or acknowledge it. No real fallout, but I'm still wondering if anyone else would have addressed it more directly. Stories number 34. My friends try to kick me off my own business, so I take everything. So, I formed a business where I sold homemade ice cream, snacks, and drinks which were all provided by me. I asked my friends if they wanted to help me and they said yes, so I told them I'd pay them part of the proceeds. For the first week we were earning tons and everything was great. But by the second week, things started turning. They added some other people I wasn't friends with without my consent and they were jerks to me. They didn't even add anything to the business. They kept eating my supplies and cutting my pay, but remember, I buy everything. They were ignoring me when I told them to stop, and at that point I was in debt $70, but they wouldn't listen, so I finally gave up and took everything, told them to screw off and left. They begged me to come back but I had enough and ignored them. Now I sell by myself and make tons more money, and am a lot better off. Update. To clear some things up, the only reason I feel like the jerk is because many of my friends were donating to charity with their earning and they didn't have the capability to do something like that on their own to make money. I took away their last chance, so I kind of feel like a jerk. I will donate to charity anyways, but I still feel like a jerk. Not helped by them spam texting me with new numbers after I blocked them. Stories number 35. The rings were lost, and guess who had them? I married my second husband in a beautiful wedding, but there were some elements that left much to be desired. One of my sons, 12 at the time, with my ex-husband is autistic and nonverbal, and he was the ring bearer. He was supposed to walk down the aisle with his littlest brother, 2 at the time, and my little brother, Joseph, and give the rings to the best man. My ex-husband was invited, specifically for the reason of helping our autistic son cope. Unfortunately my 2-year-old decided he needed me to hold him at the last minute, but hey. I'm a mom, we do what we have to do. I walked down the aisle with him on my hip and promptly handed him off to his favorite groomsman. Fast forward to the vows. Our officiant asks for the rings, and we look to the best man. He didn't have them. We look to my matron of honor. She didn't have them. There a tense moment of silence. I look to my brother in the front row and ask where they are. He shrugs. I look to my autistic son, when his dad, my ex-husband, just nonchalantly announces he has them. He then proceeds to the altar and gives them to my new husband. Looking back it was mortifying, but at least they weren't lost. Also, one of my friends broke house arrest to come and was arrested at the venue. It was hidden from us, thank goodness. One of my husband's friends got drunk and hit on my 11-year-old daughter. She responded appropriately with, "I'm 11, perv," and walked away. She didn't tell us until the next day. Important to note, she was a bridesmaid and looked like at least a teenager, though not nearly old enough for a 40-year-old man. And the photographer forgot which flower girl was our daughter, so I have a ton of adorable photos of the other flower girl. Luckily she's my best friend's daughter, and I love her. Frankly, all was saved by blissful ignorance and the mountain of bacon on the dinner buffet. Stories number 36. My entire life was a lie and I'm going to confront my mother. I'm 26 now. Growing up, I was always told my father abandoned me when I was 5. My mother said he wanted nothing to do with me, that he was a drunk, a bum, and that he never paid a cent in child support. Well, 21 years later, I finally reached out to him. Turns out, he did try to contact my mom a few times but could never get through. And the biggest shock. He actually paid child support until I turned 18. I even verified it myself with the local child support office. They confirmed he paid the entire time. That adds up to around $60,000 that I never saw. Meanwhile, I spent my childhood couch surfing with my mother while she bounced from guy to guy for support. She never had a job. I paid the bills, took care of myself, and looked after my younger brother too. There's so much more I could say, but I'm honestly overwhelmed. I'm confronting her tomorrow, and I don't even know where to start. I feel like half of my life has been stolen from me and I'm stuck with so many what-ifs. If anyone's been through something like this or has any advice, I'd really appreciate it. Update: I'm not worried about getting any money. I'm more upset that she got some each month and never used it on me. Plus, he was active in paying it for 13 years and my mother told me that he didn't. Stories number 37. I left my husband while he was recovering from surgery, and I don't regret it. I, 34F, was married for 8 years. My husband, 38M, had a major back surgery last month. I helped him through the entire process, scheduling, appointments, insurance, pre-op prep. I even used my PTO to take care of him during recovery. But during that time, while I was doing everything, cleaning up after him, managing his meds, changing dressings, he still managed to find time to belittle me. He'd grunt at me if food wasn't hot enough. Snap at me if I forgot to bring water upstairs. Accuse me of treating him like a burden when I try to take a 5-minute break. The last straw was when I walked in on him texting another woman from his phone, mid-recovery. When I asked who it was, he said, "Don't start drama, I need peace while I heal." So I packed my things while he was asleep and left. He's texting everyone we know, saying I abandoned him in his time of need. No one knows what he said to me when the doors were closed. I carried this for weeks but I don't feel bad anymore. I just feel free. Stories number 38. If I call off the wedding because of my fiancé's family tradition. My fiancé proposed to me in February. We're planning on getting married next year. The thing is, he recently told me about a tradition he has in his family. It turns out that in his family only the bride and all the men from her side and her husband's side can be present at the wedding. Then, 2 weeks after the wedding, the women throw a separate, smaller party for themselves, where the husband is the only man. My fiancé and his family say it started when his great-great-grandmother was the only female in her family, so the women on her husband's side decided to have 2 separate parties so she wouldn't feel uncomfortable. No, I don't get that either. I asked his brother's wives and they all confirmed that they had such weddings. I also saw photos, just all men and the bride. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more it annoys me. For many reasons. 1. I can't imagine getting married without my mother and sister and all my friends. 2. I really hate that he never told me before. We have been together for 3 years and we immediately took this relationship very seriously. I quickly got to know his family and it seemed to me that we were close. My fiancé, however, thinks I'm overreacting. He thinks it's just a family tradition and I shouldn't worry about it and it's weird to get rid of an entire relationship just because of something like this. He also doesn't want to even talk about a normal wedding. Edit: yes, it's 100% family tradition. He's from Poland, I'm from Germany. Stories number 39. This guy running for something ruined my door with a flyer. Here's the email I sent. Flyer on my door. You or someone you know put some flyer on my door at some point in the last few days. I was out of town and decided to turn into a sticker. Or did you just decide you'd use stickers from the get-go? I'm trying to give you more credit that since your flyer has integrity in big bold letters right in the middle. So in keeping with that, when can I expect you to come clean this up? Comments. Commenter 1. Did you get a response? Reply: nope, probably not going to, so I'm just going to show up at every town hall he goes to and ask him why he thought it was okay to ruin my door, and when he's going to come clean it up. Commenter 2. You should have that picture printed on a big foam core poster that says, "Frank Tishka ruined my door." Then go to all his campaign events and display it prominently between him and any cameras there to cover the event. Reply: I like the cut of your jib. Update: for anyone interested, I got a response from him on Facebook. He was apologetic and offered to send someone out to clean it. I agree that it likely just got wet when it rained. Ultimately the purpose this served was to show me how he'd respond. His opponent, Cassetti, has been in office for years and is what you've come to expect from a typical Republican. Denials, insults, screams. Look him up on Facebook at some point. He's literally just copying dump now. In fact, apparently he recently went on a tirade on Facebook calling the people in Ansonia ghetto trash and that they don't know what's good for them. It got so bad the news actually camped out at City Hall until he couldn't hide anymore. Frank on the other hand offered to help, even though he ultimately did nothing wrong, just a bad situation arising out of the randomness of life. He's got my vote. Update. Full story on my profile, but the quick and dirty is Frank came by and cleaned my door. It genuinely seems like it actually did get glued to it, and, well, more details on the other post, but it really is very possible someone did this intentionally, and for less than savory reasons. The door is still slightly damaged, but this isn't the end, and I don't think I'll be infuriated with the ending. I know I'm not currently. Comments. Commenter 1. W guy maturely fixing his mess. Reply, I actually don't think it's his mess honestly. There's more details on my other post. And another commenter mentions something as well. I encourage you to check it out. Commenter 2. Oh yeah, I only saw your other post that had no body text. He probably didn't do it, but it's even more admirable that he cleaned someone else's foul play. Reply, exactly all the more reason he should be mayor. Every step of dealing with Frank raised the bar and showed just how pathetic the current mayor is. Commenter 3. He raised the bar immensely and deserves the job. You guys need more people like that. Commenter 4. I'm probably just being cynical, but the way this played out and the way you talk about Frank seems like this was set up from the jump. It all just reads like campaign rhetoric. Reply, you're welcome to think whatever you'd like. I'm not going to convince you either way, so I'm not going to try. Commenter 5. I don't have a firm stance one way or another. This could be totally legit, but it could also be campaign marketing. Reply, you're right, it could be. Unfortunately, any proof that I could provide that would show I have nothing to do with politics would dox me. I'm sure someone can figure it out easily enough since I posted my photo, but I'll leave that to whoever is bored enough. Commenter 6. I completely understand that I wasn't looking for any proof, I was just speculating. Like I said, it's probably just me being cynical. After learning about your current mayor, I hope Frank can pull a victory. Also, the only reason I commented on this post was because I saw the post originally in the CT sub and thought it was a weird cross post. Don't mind me. Stories number 40. Why do girls flirt with me who have boyfriends? Last night I was sitting at a patio and two girls came up to me and my friend and asked for a light. Gave them my lighter, they asked to sit down, and this beautiful girl sits down next to me. I am very respectful but still gregarious and ended up talking and flirting with this girl for the next 3 hours. We were smoking weed outside together while my friend and her friend were inside, and when I came back and she went to the bathroom and my friend whispered to me, bro, did you know she has a boyfriend? She made zero mention of having a boyfriend and was flirting with me all night. This is the second time this has happened to me in the past 2 weeks, and this has been a common theme for me since high school. Girls who have boyfriends always seem to take a special interest in me and I can only guess why. I was raised primarily by my mother and have 2 sisters, so I'm emotionally intelligent and comfortable talking to women as friends. I also am not terribly looking, but I'm shy and usually don't approach someone unless I'm really into them. This girl was 100% my type physically, and she was exactly what I was looking for so far on a personality level. Slightly serious, rigorous and inquisitive, and a major goofball. We play the same video games, we listen to adjacent music, we're both academics. Like, this girl just felt like a blessing come true. And it really hurts to find out that whole process of getting to know each other was deceptive, or maybe my intentions just weren't clear. Same thing happened 2 weeks ago. Was at a friend's birthday party, was mingling and hit it off with this one girl, hung out all night dancing together at the bars and everything. Her friend pulls me aside acting all hostile and says, you know she has a boyfriend, right? No, I had no fucking clue. Why is it that all the girls who are into me already have boyfriends that they never disclose? Does this happen to anyone else? Stories number 41. Aita for refusing to let my husband choose out baby's name after he skipped the ultrasound appointment to play video games. My husband and I are expecting our first child together, and while I thought we'd be equally involved, it hasn't turned out that way. He rarely goes to my doctor's appointments, often saying he's too busy, but his reasons are usually things like meeting friends or gaming sessions. He always brushes it off with comments like, you're the pregnant one, not me, what difference does it make if I'm there? The only thing he's cared about for the baby is buying stuff like this. That's the only time I saw him involved. Last week, we had an important ultrasound appointment. It was a big deal because we were finding out the gender and had planned to start seriously discussing names afterward. At the last minute, my husband texted saying he wouldn't be coming because his friends had set up an important gaming tournament online. I was upset, but didn't argue about it. I ended up going alone. Afterward, he kept messaging, asking for the gender results. I was so annoyed I ignored him, and when I got home, I told him that since he didn't bother to show up, I'd be picking our baby's name alone, and he could wait until birth to find out. He flipped out, calling me controlling and childish, saying I'm unfairly punishing him and that he has an equal right to decide his child's name. I told him if he wanted equal rights, he should have prioritized the appointment over gaming. He's now telling everyone I'm using our child to manipulate him, and his family is bombarding me with texts about how I'm going too far and acting spiteful. Even my mom suggested maybe I overreacted by completely cutting him out of naming the baby, and now I'm wondering if maybe I'm the one being unreasonable. Stories number 42. My atheist brother is having a Christian funeral. I'm not attending. My brother and I were not close in later life. He made some bad life decisions that ultimately led to his death earlier this week in his late 40s. My parents are both alive and obviously upset. I spoke to my mom. I told her that the one thing I can do for him is advocate for a non-religious funeral, as he was very non-religious, openly mocking religious beliefs. My mum claims she is Christian. News to me, she never goes to church and never mentioned this all my life, and that my dad was baptized Catholic, true, but he's atheist, and that whilst she acknowledges my brother mocked religion, it's important for her that he has a Christian funeral. I got angry and started typing a response, but I remembered she's just lost her son and she has taken it hard. My dad messaged me to say he's staying hands off and letting my mum celebrate my brother in her way whilst he will deal with his feelings privately. I just replied, okay, to both of them. I haven't told them yet that I won't attend because the timing would be cruel, but I cannot support such a disregard for my brother's beliefs. If I am tasked with managing my mum's funeral, I shall return the favor. Edit. Thanks for the kind words, everyone. I'm not looking for advice, although you're of course free to post your opinions. I will not be attending, it's a hill I will die on, no pun intended. If my parents want to grieve with me, I will meet with them privately, but I am not supporting this irrational nonsense. As I mentioned, my brother and I were not close. I would only be going to support my parents. I have no personal need to travel across the country for this. Some of the comments. That to let the mother have this since funerals are for the living. No, religion is a disease. She's made this funeral about her beliefs, that's fine, she can have it. I'm not participating in this superstitious mumbo-jumbo delusion of ghosts and goblins. I was never in a religion to be driven away from. I just view this the same as holding a Spider-Man funeral for someone who hated Spider-Man. And everyone there is pretending Peter Parker is real. I am also not in grief. I haven't spoken to my brother for a decade. Update. I messaged my dad the same day. He said that he'll grieve in his own way and will let my mum have the funeral she wants. We caught up on the phone later. And I explained I wasn't going to attend, but I would drive over to support him and my mum and I'd come to the wake, which he understood. When I said that mum claimed he was Catholic, he laughed. I then said, so we're going to say prayers and sing hymns for John. Ridiculous. Oh fuck that, he said. That's not gonna happen. He then asked me what sort of thing I would like to see. I said we could talk about how he was a good father and play some music that he would like. My dad agreed. However, I decided to not raise it with my mum, as she lost her son, and whilst I'm a bit of a dick, I'm not that much of a dick. This was all a few weeks ago and the funeral is this Friday. My mum just called me and said Dad just told her I'm not attending. She said she would like me there and promised me it won't be a Christian funeral. Told me exactly what was planned, which sings etc. She raised the issue with other family members and apparently they laughed at her and said that about 30 of John's friends are coming and will not be interested in signing hymns. She then said she didn't feel that strongly about it in the first place, which is a contradiction of what she initially told me, but she's grieving and trying to make this work, so I didn't push it. I agreed to go to the funeral. Comment by OOP. Both on my last post and on this one, lots of people are saying, funerals are for the living. You get that I'm part of that demographic, right?